All right, we're going to keep the numbering the same. So this is going to be Skies of Glass episode 20, I think.
20, Jesus.
But this is the first episode of the new campaign. Right. So
not the B campaign.
Yeah, not the B campaign. We're not calling it that. There's an episode of the regular Fear the Boot show, if you listen to that, where we talked about this.
What if we were all beekeepers?
Then it would be the B campaign.
It would be the B campaign.
Or the apiary campaign. But what we're going to do is we are going to do a campaign that takes place at an identical or similar time frame, maybe back a little bit. I don't want to go forward in history. And I talked about some things I'd like to see out of the campaign, but rather than me just pontificate, let's get straight down to it. So let's begin.
Handing me my character sheet so I can make my character in a vacuum.
Yes, that is how you always get the best games. Zero collaboration between individuals, zero communication between individuals.
I'm a wither.
I want you just to show up with your character, and we're just going to assume that's going to work out great. All right, so what I'm going to go over here is we got two game prep documents we're going to go over. One is the group template. But before we get to the group template, which we'll talk about what you are, I first got a metagame questionnaire, and we did one of these last time.
Like, who's this new guy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Brodor's been deep sixed, and we, through a government work release program,
yes,
we got this Brandon guy. So, yeah. Brandon is our new Brodor.
Hello.
Spelled with a BR, just like Brodor.
Close enough, right?
Yeah. You can grow a beard, though. That's completely different than Brodor. Not just this weird...
He is the anti-Brodor.
Yeah. Not just this weird, watch your children mustache. So
Dan, it's called the pedo stash.
All right, so we're going to go over some metagame level questions, some table level questions, just so we make sure that we understand each other at the level of human interaction and, what people want out of this, what's acceptable, what's not. Now, I have the one from the prior game, which I guess I was about to say represents 3 of the 4 people here, but actually only represents 2.
Right, I wasn't
because
there.
Eric wasn't there when we did it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to...
Eric created his character in a vacuum.
That's right.
Oh, no, he did talk. He did hear what you guys had done, and he talked to me about it. And so, all right, let's start with, and I've got the old one here. So some of this we can pull from the old one. What are subjects you want this side campaign to deal with? Is there any subjects, and by here I'm talking about themes, places, types of NPCs, types of stories?
I think I requested this one in the first game, and I don't feel that it got represented too much. But scarcity.
I am with you on scarcity. I would like to do a lot more, because you guys were in a fairly, at least as far as Skies of Glass goes, a fairly well-kept society. I would love to deal with something that's more frontiersy,
right,
where scarcity and survival are bigger themes in the game.
Yeah, you and I had a conversation a few days ago, basically where I made the argument that Joe, Brodor's character that got split in half, was actually really wealthy in terms of how Skies of Glass operates. I mean, he never wanted for food. His friends and workers never wanted for food. Clothing, had everything he needed, owned a boat, employed people.
On the boat was running profitably, and it actually had assets, unspent money. Mm-hmm. There actually was a chest of unspent coins.
We never wanted for anything within reason.
So, all right, so scarcity, and we'll try to make that one a bigger theme this time.
I don't know that I have anything that jumps out right now that I specifically want to see, but I'd like to see less of St. Louis.
Okay, we can do East St. Louis.
Yeah, strippers.
So there is a separate one for things to avoid.
Okay, we can come back to that person.
So I can still, I'll hop down there. I'll make a note. So there's one thing to avoid. So I'll put down under that. You want to deal less with St. Louis. And by St. Louis, I'll assume you're talking about the St. Louis area of concern.
Right, the city itself.
So, okay.
I mean, having St. Louis as the boogeyman in the background is fine.
So, like, if we wanted to do, and this is just an example, like Cape. Cape's
Right.
totally legit.
Exactly.
Just downtown St. Louis. With
Okay,
masks
so
and the
it's
pit fighters
St.
and all
Louis
that craziness.
itself you want to avoid, not
Yes,
St. Louis as
because we did a
power.
lot more of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll
No,
put
that's
down
fair,
here
yeah.
St. Louis City / Metro.
We even tried to get out of St. Louis to give like Eric and other people more spotlight, and just the magnetic pull of it kept bringing us back.
Yeah, I'm looking for, in this campaign, a different feel than the past one. So
Sure.
that's why I'm saying less St. Louis.
Okay, what else? Subjects you want the game to deal with.
Whores.
What about like isolated pockets of, people who are like maybe separated geographically or topographically or something like that, where they are so cut off from everyone else that they've kind of developed their own.
Okay, so little isolated microcosms is what I'm going to call that.
I want to see advanced technology popping up in unexpected places.
Can you explain?
You had the level just right in the last game,
Mhm.
where not everybody was walking around with laser pistols, and we would go multiple games by seeing low tech to normal tech, and then every once in a while, someone would pull out something like the goggles thing or whatever, and it'd be like you were reminded that before the apocalypse happened, it was the future.
Right.
I want to keep that. I don't want it to seem like we got nuked in 1997. I want
Okay.
to feel like we got nuked in 2075 or whatever.
So I'll just put down here appearances of future tech.
So like a Fallout sort of setting where like everything's futuristic, but it's well busted, right?
I would even say that Fallout would take it too far.
Yeah.
Because people had laser guns pouring out their ass.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
you
Giant robots and
giant robot. Yeah, you kill a bum sitting on the street, and he's got like fusion reactor batteries. And stuff.
No, I get
What? Your
exactly
bones don't have fusion reactors?
I get exactly what Chad's saying here. Like, multiple sessions, we see nothing, and then that guy in that gang, one of them has a laser pistol.
Right.
What is that? I have never seen one of those.
Or maybe used for a purpose, used but not used as its original purpose.
Ooh, I like that too.
Yeah. Like somebody, like we go into a town, there's a blacksmith, and he has a laser pistol that he uses as a metal cutter.
Right.
It's part of a big rig and whatnot.
Right.
Or whatever.
Okay. Anything else?
I want to be off the water.
Yeah.
Okay. So away from. Well, can I assume you mean
And not on a riverboat.
not on a riverboat? Okay. So
Nothing wrong with a riverboat. Just
away from.
change of pace.
Okay. So away from river travel.
And I want a vehicle.
Interesting.
And I don't mean like a Honda Civic for my character. I mean like a vehicle.
Like a bus.
A bus or a big truck or something like that.
Something we've like jury rigged.
Yeah.
And it's constantly breaking down and we have to fix
Sure.
it.
Absolutely. It can one of any zillions of possibilities for whatever reasons we can concoct and whatever trappings we want to put around it.
That's a fairly specific request. So I may hold
Well,
that to
it'll
the
hit-
group template unless you can tell me one
No,
thing,
it-
which is thematically why.
It'll be part of the group template, I think.
Maybe
It-
we're smuggling shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love the idea of it. I like the idea of picking what the vehicle is when we get more
I'm
into the
going
group.
backwards. I'm going thing, and then why do we have the thing? Instead of saying, well, we're going to be this, so we have a thing. I just
right.
would like to see that.
Essentially, wouldn't that just make us a caravan though? Like,
Well, I mean, yeah, it depends. So,
On what you use the vehicle for.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why. Okay, let's
Let me
And
put it
if
this
we're
way.
dealing with scarcity, we have a vehicle. We just can't use it very often because we
Yeah.
don't have gas.
Or everything we do keeps it going.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, which was actually, to me, that was supposed to be what the boat was. Is like, we're struggling to keep it going, except that we were really successful and rich, essentially. But, yeah, it's not even we have to have it. It's more of a matter of thematically, I don't want to be on horseback. Nothing wrong with horseback. It's just every single SOG game I've played, we've been on horseback. And I don't want to walk. I mean,
Okay.
I demand a vehicle, no
I need
horses.
a mobility scooter or a second.
goddamn boat.
Rascal.
That's right.
You have a Mr. Rascal. That's going to be our Fallout crossover.
That's right.
A Winnebago.
Yeah.
It's powered by those fusion cores you find from those hobos.
That's right.
What about the last game? There was a lot of influence. We had, political influence. We had, commerce influence. How about being some sort of outsider or some peripheral? We're not integrated into
Right.
the society itself. Maybe we're,
Yeah.
we're parasitic.
Yeah.
To society.
Is it enough for me just to put down you want less influence, and you don't want to be as integrated into the politics right off the bat? Well, and I think if we do the microcosm thing, so if the settings that you visit are more isolated, it's going to be a lot harder to carry any kind of influence. Because every town you roll into, and this describes most of the world in Skies of Glass, the towns aren't that heavily tied to each other. And so you go to from town A to town B, you're starting over again. I mean, these people don't know who you are.
Yeah, whereas in the first game, we could have done that, but you had my character who was known in a mask, and then you have Philip who had a network of contacts, and then we had you who had contacts in your own right and were a sort of known person in that what you were.
Right.
And then Joe was famous because he was a likable guy who's traveled up and down the river in his own
Right.
way. So
Okay.
Well, maybe our background is we don't want to be known.
yeah, that's true.
Maybe we're like fugitives or
Yeah.
or criminals.
Put a note on the template that, the possible infamy for the group.
Hang on one sec. Okay, so less river travel, and you want to
And none of this we have to stick to.
Right. I'm just trying to get a sense of this is just us agreeing on what it is we want or don't want out of the game.
Vampires.
Okay.
Lots of vampires.
No.
Whole secret society.
60 vampires.
That's right.
Sparkling, sexy, washboard abbed
Still
vampires.
a better
Close
story
enough.
than Twilight.
So this probably goes pretty much hand in hand with the scarcity of I don't want to have a big organization backing us.
Mhm.
Because I want to see the scarcity.
Right.
I don't want to have those resources. I don't want to be able to call in backup.
You know what a big organization backing us is? It's a safety valve.
Yes.
Dan, I want you. My vote is I want the safety valves taken away.
Net.
Yeah. There's no net. There's no somebody we can call up. Somebody we can signal. Somebody who's their help. It's us or nobody. And I want it to be in a way that the group is cohesive because of that. We are relying on each other because there is no safety valve.
Well, what if we were cut off from support from something? We're
that-
actually trying to. That's part of our reason we don't want to be known is because maybe we're running from that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a very good possibility too. I like that.
Okay. Anything else? We don't need to beat this to death here. We can move to the more specific. Okay. Next question. Is there anything you want the game to avoid for purely personal reasons? This is not story related. These are moral boundaries, past traumas. The list we had from last time was 3 things that we accepted were part of the setting, but should never occur on camera, which was rape, torture, and animal abuse. Is that the list you guys still want? Do you want to add to it, remove from it?
No, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with the made for TV Godfather aspect of that, where, like in Godfather movies, they torture somebody, they fucking torture them. Made for TV one, the camera fades out and you know what's going to happen.
Right.
Okay. So other than those 3, is there anything that you want? So rape, torture, and animal abuse. I mean, it's going on out there, but the game doesn't have to deal with it. So it's...
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing for me.
PC death.
Yes.
Anyone going to say no? Brandon, you're the new guy.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
fine with it.
Okay.
Lee was rather unscathed,
Yeah, I want the danger.
mentally broken, but
Skies of Glass would not be the same for me if the danger of it wasn't there.
Yeah.
That was my challenge for my character with the first day we played was, can I have my character make it to the end of the arc without A, killing anyone, and B, not being seriously injured?
Yeah, you were moderately injured, but I don't think you
I got
were.
my bell rung because
Yeah,
I
so
hit the
yeah,
head, but it was
Got some, you got cut up a bit, but you never got
I never got
splattered.
Yeah,
So what you're saying is no space medicine.
I'm down with that.
Oh, you won't. That's one of the things. There was something I did in the prior game. There's two things I did in parallel in the prior game because of the fact that I knew half the table wasn't really familiar with Skies of Glass, which is, one, I kind of eased in some of the rules, and some of the rules never even fully got used. I mean, the full wound and infection rules never got used. And the second was I gave some kind of limited mulligans in the form of the space medicine. You're not going to see that again.
Good.
Probably not in this, and probably not when we get back to unifying the campaigns at the Return of Brodor. Probably not then. Maybe then. I don't know. Depends what happens. But
This might come with scarcity, but as I think about it, at least a couple characters had non-firearm weapons, and then we ended up getting the cutlasses that had really good. But every fight we went into, there were guns. It'd be nice to have a fight where nobody has guns.
oh, that'll figure in a scarcity, or you may have a gun and 2 bullets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Think hard.
We in one of the old games, one of my characters that I really loved playing was this old guy named History, and he had 2 357 Magnums and a round in each, but not chamber. I guess they're chambers and a revolver.
Yeah, so chamber.
One round in each chamber, and that's it for the whole game. That was it, and that's the point of the bullets too. Now it never really came up because it didn't need to, but the idea is, do I spend a bullet on a reroll, or do I say, holy shit, I'm out of ammo and the ist is coming at me with a hatchet. I spend a bullet I find the bullet in my pocket and load it in my gun and shoot it.
Yeah. I also did allow it in the past for minor items. Like, for example, it's like, I need a short length of rope
Right.
to get over this. You don't have one. Give me the bullet. Yeah, there just happened to be one there, discarded from the ages of old or whatever.
Now, are these bullets, they're burnt and gone forever? Or?
I will give them back to you at certain intervals, or
There's
you
an
can earn
economy.
them back from me by amusing me. There's a couple ways to get them back.
Yeah, he
Blowjobs, got it.
Oh, yes.
any bullet that we spend is a bullet that he can spend back against us to make something horrible happen.
That's the other thing is, if you give them to me, I can spend them on you and then you keep them. So, all right, is there anything the GM wants from the players? I'm going to give you the same one I gave you last time, and I don't think this even needs to be said, but I'm put it on paper just for the sake of having put it there, which is try and be involved.
Bitches.
So don't sit there and stare at me.
I'm sorry, Dan. I'll try and get more involved in this one.
Chad, you did nothing
I know.
last game. I don't think that even needs to be said to this group, but I mean, that's really it, is just, play ball and give it the old college try. Is there anything specific that you guys want from me? I can tell you what you had from last time.
What did we have from last time?
Let me flip that around before you ask for us, unless you have this as a question on there. The one thing you're asking from us is, attention, basically. Is there anything that you've always wanted to see in a Skies of Glass game that the group hasn't given you?
Any group.
Yeah, exactly. Any type of character that you've always wanted to have someone play? Any situation, setting, anything that you've wanted to see that happened?
No. Honestly, no.
Damn.
You guys
Good
have,
answer.
you guys have,
I mean, he wrote this. He wrote the whole story.
yeah, you
so-
guys have always been on the mark pretty much every time. I've always thought it would be interesting to run a game that takes place either right before the war, during the war, or takes place post-war, but in a location that still is high tech, whether that's one of the space stations or
Well, here's what
Jacksonville, but I don't want to do it in this
I
campaign.
say not for this.
I don't want to do it in this
but
campaign.
I would love to play in that game sometime.
Yeah.
Because I think it would
the
be
Canticle for Leibowitz arc, where you do 3 arcs. One is the early days, one is the middle days when
Yeah.
you're trying to build, and one is when everybody is fed and happy, fat, and killing each other.
not in this campaign, but so what you had last time for what the players want from the GM is clarity whenever my intentions for a situation weren't clear, like what I was trying to get to or get at. And
we did a whole show on that about the layers of your plot.
Yeah.
And they get too many layers. But no, I think you did. On that point, you did fantastic.
And then this one is another one that you guys asked for, which is because of the mercilessness of the game. Fair warning, if something you're doing or about to do is a really bad idea and you cannot be reasonably expected to know it is.
The player cannot reasonably.
Well, and we specifically mentioned that because 2 of the people at the table hadn't experienced the setting at all, too.
Yeah,
I don't-
I like that because I don't know anything about the setting really, so that would help me with your character would know this. So I like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't need it personally because that adds to the danger, aspect of it. But for a new player, hell yeah. Even for Eric, who's only been here 1 game. I mean, I've played in almost every single Skies of Glass campaign since we were teenagers. So, and Wayne has played in many.
And run one-shots.
And yeah, but no, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I just wanted because like I said, I don't know anything about the background, so if I was making some incredibly stupid decision, and my character in no way would ever do that.
There's a guy with a skull mask. What do? Walk up to him and punch him in the face because he's a dick.
I'd give him a kiss.
Well, give him a bone of my own.
Is there
You're gonna fit right in.
anything else the players want from the GM?
Blowjobs.
Dang.
From him,
Reciprocation.
he's too skinny.
That means he's hungry.
I got protein. Hungry, not thirsty.
Don't worry, it's chunky enough for you.
Oh yeah.
Okay, next question.
Back to your question. I got nothing.
All right, last one on the metagame level, and then we'll get to the game level. Is there anything that you guys at the metagame want from each other? That you really want so-and-so to play this kind of character, not play this kind of character, some kind of... What you guys had on the last one was you wanted each other to get into the RP, to have some level of PC cohesion, and because of the fact that several people had never played with anyone before at the table, Brodor and Eric were both first time, was patience as the players adjust to each other. Is there anything that you guys... Now, it could be other stuff, too. It could be, you know what, I've never seen you play this type of character. I'd really like you to play this. It's whatever you guys want. Is there anything you want to request of each other?
I'd like a sense of camaraderie and tension in equal measure. I think that in the first game we were able to really nail that very well because our characters had grown up together more or less, and everybody really cared about each other on a deep level, and it was like family because you really loved them and you really hated them.
Right. Actually, Dan, there is something that I do want to request from you, and I thought worked really well the last time, was do the flashback session, where maybe do something when we were a little bit younger or, first together or whatever, and then advance the timeline a year, whatever you do, but advance it so that way we have some sort of shared history in game.
Okay, so there's a shared point of reference. Okay, I can do that.
We never thought about it. It did work really well last time.
Because we went back and we always referenced stuff, and I was doing the whole pops thing, and it was mostly just because of our, the way we did that.
Oh, how differently the entire campaign would have gone if you guys had just made some slightly different choices in that flashback game too.
And that was what made that so cool, was the decisions we made in the flashback game totally framed everything that we did.
The guy that was supposed to be coming after the boat, if you guys had not had everything go apart where it was Arturo Craig. You would have then known him throughout the campaign for multiple years instead of having just met him. There's some other stuff I can't tell you without spoiling some things, but
Yeah, I tend to be the type of player where I don't have my personality down for the character at first session.
Yeah.
It evolves with play with the other characters, and that flashback really helped to. There were things about the character that mattered to him that wouldn't have without the flashback.
Yeah.
Like he had the, Miss Lily's flute,
Mm-hmm.
and there were little things like that that just informed the character for the rest of the campaign.
I think it also gives you opportunity. If you dork something up, you can say, well, like a year or two or three's passed, I've just changed as a person. I've worked that out of my system. I'm not quite like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you something to RP about that you don't have to keep RPing, I guess. But
Oh yeah, you can make personality changes because maybe something happened like in
yeah,
the flashback that made you a certain way.
And flashbacks can give a drastically different setting than the rest of the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if we weren't from the area, for example, the flashback could be in a completely different part of the country. And then the campaign is in this area.
Yeah, I like that idea.
okay. Anything else that you guys want from each other? Okay, let's move to the group template. Does the game master need the group to be anything in particular for the plot? No. I don't have a particular plot in mind that I'm looking to run you through, so I don't have any particular need. So, all right, what do you guys want to be?
Big boys.
Like Space Orcs or what?
Sure.
Flash gets? Knobs?
Knobs? Yeah. Daka daka.
Dagga dagga.
The Juggernaut.
Not the Chief. If you want to play Foul-Mouthed Juggernaut, I will totally run that game. It's going to be it's not those guys of glass. If you want to play the Juggernaut.
I have an idea for a group. I didn't pitch it to Dan because obviously I couldn't. He's not the one I have to pitch to. I have to pitch it to you guys. But I do want to hear what your guys' ideas are before I make my pitch.
Well, I remember the conversation was, be part of the zoo, maybe be part of the Southern Army, things like that. But it doesn't sound like we're kind of, unless we're like either deserters from
Right.
those or wanted by them.
And it's like, I have an idea kind of based on that. I was only partially joking about the Winnebago.
Mm.
One,
I'm not driving Winnebago.
two interesting ideas that I have. Your kind of suggestion was we were originally in the Florida city.
Oh, Jacksonville?
Yes, that we fled from Jacksonville, and we're discovering this world for the first time ourselves. And that's why everything is so scarce. Is we left what we were used to, which was not scarcity, and then out in a world of scarcity, we took this vehicle that was fully functional, but now has been falling apart, and we've been having to keep it put together. I also had the same idea as being from the group from the South that's kind of taking over. We left them for the same way and took one of their vehicles. I kind of like that idea of having fled from one of those bigger groups with a vehicle that we're having to keep up and running, and we're keeping on the run because we don't want them to know where we went.
Okay, so at the zoo, there are two things about them. One, they are great manipulators. They're not nearly as powerful as you guys may have imagined them to be. They are not... They're powerful by virtue of manipulation and powerful by virtue of who they've allied with. They themselves, all by themselves, are actually very few in number and not that powerful.
Yeah, we only got to shoot him in the face.
Bingo. And when you did that, you knocked out at least single, maybe double-digit percentage of their staff. The second thing is something you guys, I think, pieced together at the end. If not, you had enough information that this isn't a huge spoiler, is that they were originally from a space station that had to be evacuated. Now, what you guys could be is you guys could also have been from that space station, but you didn't join what they were doing. So you knew these people in a different sort of light.
Like there was some sort of insurrection? or something like that.
I would.
Factions, maybe.
Yes, it's when that evacuated. There were decisions that were made about the timing of different evacuations and what they would do once they reached the Earth. And if you guys chose to play that, that's a story we'd explore. So I can't tell you too much.
Right.
But and you don't have to be that. You could also be deserters from the Southern Army. That's fairly easy to explain. If you guys are from Jacksonville, how you got out would require something of an interesting story.
We could be deserters from one of the militias. We can be deserters from the St. Louis militaries, the houses. We can be deserters from the National Guard folks, whoever the hell they were. We can be deserters from the ISTs.
I like the
various
idea
clans.
from being further away, though.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of not, like, discovering the area. So we talked about finding these little pockets of things.
Right.
So I kind of like the idea of having wherever we ran from, if we go this route, that it be somewhere outside of Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we're exploring.
Pretty much. I mean, everything would be new for us. But that's just one pitched idea.
Right. What's your idea?
Okay, so my idea is
You mean Rice Krispie treat?
not one that is defines where we're from or who we are. It defines what we do. So any of the ideas that we've come up with already can easily plug into this concept. My idea is that when you think of the area around St. Louis, or even far out from St. Louis, or even far out from like towns and stuff, when the nukes hit, St. Louis or this area was not hit, so nobody got nuked, nobody got vaporized, but a lot of people died. A lot of people died because the infrastructure fell apart. They couldn't get food in. Then there was disease, medicines fell apart. People were killing each other. There were factions that rose up as different organizations tried to gain control. Or basically what I'm getting to is a lot of people died. So what we have now is substantially less people because, the infant mortality rate went up and life expectancies went down. We have a lot fewer people in this area than there were before the bombs went off. And that means that there are lots and lots of houses and buildings around the area. So I came up with this idea that I call breachers. And they're like teams of people who go into houses or buildings or structures or whatever to basically, loot is the wrong word because it's like 50 years later, everybody's dead anyway, but basically to extract anything of value from there. There could be a gun safe. They have to get into the gun safe. There could be different valuables like jewelry and stuff that, gold still has value and melted down diamonds. Anything like that. Even old computer parts stuff. If the computer may not be working, but maybe you can harvest parts from it and sell them and that sort of thing. The idea is that the houses are not pristine houses that are encapsulated, frozen in time. They've been sitting there for 50, 75, however many years, and they're disintegrating. Going into a house is a very dangerous proposition because you could kick open the front door, take one step, and you fall through the rotted floor into the basement. Or the house collapses in on you. Or there's a bear living in there. Or there's other people living in there.
Fucking bears.
Fucking bears, I know, right? So, radioactive bears with machine guns.
Rad bears.
Rad bear.
They got cool sunglasses and a skateboard. But it's a very dangerous place. There could be toxic mold. There's any number of danger that is involved in just extracting this. And the reason why this can be an interesting concept is because of the doors it opens for Dan. You don't, as a breacher team, this concept I just invented, as a breacher team, you don't go into a neighborhood and go from house to house to house to house to house. It's super inefficient. Most of the houses are all collapsed anyway. So you have to have this network of people, or you have to have the skills to talk to people and ask them where interesting stuff is. Because a lot of stuff has been looted, but not everything can have been looted. And so you can talk with people, find out where the good
Even if there's also going to be, I think you're going to see a sort of a collective nature to loot. And what I mean is, so society collapses, a certain number of people die relatively quickly, and what happens is those that survive are going to start hoarding things.
Right.
They're going to go out and pick over these houses, and probably within weeks of the nukes being dropped, and they're going to start picking them clean and gathering it together.
And then they're going to die.
And then what happens to them? Yeah, they die.
Red Bear gets them.
A Rad Bear gets them. Yeah, exactly. A Rad Bear clan gets them. And, they suddenly that person or those people are dead, or somebody comes in and takes their stuff and moves it around, or it gets forgotten about.
Yeah, so you might have a story, or you might have, like, you find somebody's diary who talks about maybe over here, I know, whatever.
Like local legends.
Like legends and that
so-
sort of thing. It's like...
So it's not quite junk scavengers. It's almost like a survivalist kind of treasure hunter.
Yeah, because we cannot afford, again, to hit every single house on a street, nor can we afford to just take out any old crap. We're not junk dealers. We're going after very specific stuff that sells very well.
Right.
We're excavating.
Yeah, exactly. So
It's like deep space salvage, but on a solid level.
yeah, the team would require very specific skill sets. You'd need somebody who, like the gun safe, for example, you need somebody who can open up a goddamn safe. You're going to need somebody who can negotiate with people and talk to them, not like Philip did where, it's a business thing, but more like talking to people, finding out where this stuff is, and then finding buyers for the stuff too. You're going to need a driver. So here's my truck thing, and the truck idea was not just to plant this, by the way. I do really, whatever we go with, I do really want a vehicle of some sort. But my idea is too that we have a big truck, like one of those big Dodge Ram crew cab things, a giant big thing. And there was a resource war that was going on, and the engine, it's an electrical vehicle. There's no gasoline. So, we pull up to the location, we pull out solar panels, we get it charging, we go breach in. We have to have people who know how to fight, because Rad Bear might be in there, but also is or something. And then also, if we get a whole bunch of good shit, people are going to want to take it. So we have to have people who know how to fight. We have to have people who know how to breach into stuff. We have to have people who know how to appraise stuff. We have to have people who can do medical stuff as well.
Can we go back and request things for you? If we don't have a Rad Bear, I'm going to be disappointed. If there's not a bear,
I'll see what I can do about a Rad Bear.
I want to ride Red Bear.
The other thing in this setting, Rad Bear you'll be disappointed. He'll come in and he'll be have a huge things on the side of him from the tumors.
Yeah,
And,
he's going to be cancerous,
That should be
missing
like
hair,
our
and
nose art
anemic.
on our
Yeah.
truck.
That's
It's
it.
a Rad Bear.
The Rad Bear.
We just call it the
I'm
Rad Bear.
Rad Bear.
We are the Rad Bears. It's our post-nuke football team.
So with this idea, though, it gives Dan a lot of opportunities, too, because, for us, we're going to go to a location that we think is promising and do the work that we do for whatever reasons we do it for. And so we have to go and interact with people around the area and talk to them and find locations. Well, these are NPCs that Dan needs to have. And then he sends us to places where for us, we're going to go get stuff, but for him, we're going to where the plot is. So we are seeking out his NPCs for those NPCs to send us where the story needs to go. And then when we get our stuff, when we excavate the stuff or whatever, we have to we're not merchants, right? We're not like Joe and the crew where we're buying and selling, we're businessmen. We need to unload this stuff. We don't set out a blanket at a market and lay out all the shit we found. It's like, okay, well, we found 2, pre-war shotguns that were stored in a safe. They're in good condition. We found a bunch of tools, this guy had a drill bit set. We need to find somebody who can fix the drill, then who will buy the drill bits, and we find, on and on. We can keep coming up with tons and tons of examples.
So like barter from town to town just to make it by.
Yeah. We can also get people to sit, we can go into a town and somebody says, they're the blacksmith, but they're not a blacksmith. They have a forge, a hammer, and anvil. They have tools. They have working tools, pre-war tools that they keep going and they do stuff with. And the guy says, well, my bits are worn down to nothing. We've looted the hardware store. We're out. And what can you guys do for us? And then we kind of talk and we do our thing. And it's like, maybe we can search town records and find out who the mechanic was at the auto repair shop. well, that's all looted. No. These guys tend to work on their own cars at home. We find out where he lives. I bet he has tools that we might be able to find. Then we can give them to this guy and do our thing. But yeah, I think it creates opportunity for us. We could use the group worksheet there.
Yeah.
It is different enough that we're not merchants, not like the last game. It's more of I see it more as a service type thing.
It's kind of a means to get by as opposed to...
Yeah. I also see it a lot more desperation. There's a lot more opportunity for failure with it. You know, because we could make all of our rolls, we could do awesome, and then we kick the door down, and there just ain't shit in there.
Right.
Or we come up short, or we get injured, or...
Right, I was going to say, or, you know, whoever is playing the person who's the expert on, you know, structural engineering or whatever gets cacked, and...
Yeah.
Then it's like, well, now we need somebody who knows something about buildings.
Yeah. And who knows that in the wasteland?
Right.
Nobody.
Bob Building.
Yeah. Yeah, but the Rad Bears ate him.
The Rat Bears ate him.
But that's my idea. And like I said, I it's just something I've been baking on for a couple of days. So if that does not interest you in any way, no problem. It is no problem to say no to that idea.
Okay, so Chad's thrown out what he's calling his breachers. Wayne, you threw out defectors from a larger force, possibly a higher tech force, or not. But either way, defectors. Does anyone else have any ideas they want to throw out for what the group could be?
Well, I like the faction part of the spaceship crew, maybe not the zoo, and it could probably work with what you're saying, Chad, because if we are originally from, you know, that, we would be able to identify technology a lot more than maybe the locals could.
Yeah.
Sure. You know, and be like, dude, that guy is using a laser pistol as a laser, you know, a laser pointer.
Yeah.
You know, and we could totally try and swindle him out of it.
Right.
You know?
And we don't have to just, my idea was homes. We don't have to just focus on homes either. We could breach into, like, hospitals. It's like, okay, well, there's a hospital. Nobody goes there. It's all been looted of first aid supplies. We're like, first aid supplies? That is nothing. You know, we know this was a research hospital, and they've got a thing in the basement.
They made super rabies.
They may have super rabies, but
Or Rad Bears.
or rad bears, or super rad rabies bears.
Oh, man, this is getting
Super
better.
rab bears.
Rad bears.
or you know, piggybacking off of what we did the last time, you know, our great white whale would be, you know, a military cache of something that we know it's somewhere around here, but we just don't know where it is, or you know, the rumors of it being there.
Yeah.
How many years after the bombs is it?
You know, I keep waffling. It's somewhere between 50 and 75. I keep giving both numbers.
What I was wondering, something
Nobody
I've,
really knows.
Yeah.
It's been long enough, no one knows. Yeah.
well, let's see, something I've never seen in a Skies of Glass game that would be interesting is an area that's still radioactive.
Ooh.
Well, areas don't really stay radioactive.
Well,
And that's why I was asking for the time frame.
okay. Well, all right. Now, something you could do if you want to deal with radiation
I don't.
is all right. Well, okay. So let's do a quick crash course in nuclear war and radiation, because it's a somewhat, and this is one of the things that the Fallout series gets wildly wrong.
Right.
Is when an atomic bomb goes off, you basically get three kinds of radiation. There's the immediate flash of gamma radiation, which is there and gone pretty damn quickly. That's the really brutal stuff. You then get alpha and beta radiation, which gets caught up in particulate matter. Okay, so as buildings get blown apart, dust gets kicked up, it gets mixed in with water, all this kind of nasty stuff happens.
Sure, fallout.
That's correct. It's fallout. It can be a number of things. Fallout is one form it can take. And what happens is as people inhale it, they respirate it, or they ingest it, or it gets in through mucous membranes, is it begins to build up in the body and do damage over time. And this
That's where the superpowers come from.
exactly. It gives you superpowers like cancer and anemia.
Super death.
Yeah. And
Those are pretty cool powers, though.
And those forms of radiation are actually so weak they cannot penetrate the skin, but they get into your body in other ways and then get built up and then you die. Now, those forms of radiation, they half-life, it's not all that long. I don't remember what the exact half-life on most of those forms of radiation is, but I can tell you that an actual nuclear war happened within about 14 to 21 days. there would be no real substantial danger of radiation. The other thing that mitigates this is a ground or low-level detonated atomic bomb picks up a lot of that particulate matter and makes all this fallout and such. Military-style nuclear weapons that we use in the modern day are detonated at a higher altitude. And in fact, many of them are designed to detonate at a sufficiently high altitude that there will not be any fallout from them, that you will get a blast, and so you'll get the immediate surge of gamma radiation and X-rays and such, but there won't actually be any substantial amount of fallout. Okay, but, here's the but. There are a couple other things you can look at. For example, what if one of those nukes cracked a reactor?
That's what I was actually.
And now all of a sudden you have
a
uranium.
Chernobyl type effect.
Yes, you have one of them hits. Let's take Missouri, and I wouldn't suggest this because it's going to be backed by St. Louis, but Callaway. If Callaway gets hit and it cracks where the uranium rods are, that stuff will remain dangerously radioactive for something like 10,000 years. That's still dangerous.
Yeah, and it's not. It's one of those things. I think I would like to see it, maybe even as a, whether it be in the flashback thing or just one of the places that we kind of visit at some point. Not asking for that to be a setting that we spend time in. Just something we haven't seen.
Well, and it could still be an issue, especially if you guys are going to weird, out-of-the-way places.
Because I kind of like the idea of most people don't know things like that, so some of these cities may not have been looted because people were afraid of radiation. That
Right. Oh, it's still radioactive. Is it? You know?
Yeah, and maybe it is. I mean, maybe there's some third reason. It's not the nuclear war, but there's something else that left it radioactive. Like I said, like a reactor got cracked or something like that. Or a nuke hit down and did not fully detonate, which basically just creates a dirty bomb. And that can mess up an area for a really long period of time.
I like the idea of being desperate enough that we know there are things in this area that we could get that would be worth something. Are we willing to take the risk of the radiation?
Well, then that's the game too. The investigation, the figuring it out, the weighing the risk, and
We don't have exactly Geiger counters around.
So you're saying like crossing dirty areas to get to. So what you're saying is like rad road truckers.
Rad road truckers.
Nice.
Any other concepts for the group? If not, then we'll start discussing the ideas that are on the table. Okay, so no other.
Kind of new to this, so I don't really want to
Yeah, see my
come up
original
with an idea that really wouldn't work in this setting anyway.
my original idea, but it doesn't fit with the things we've said we really want. Was Cape of being playing the story of Cape leading up to when our characters come down in the boats.
I like your story idea. I think it's a little laid back, but I don't think that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could be, it doesn't have to be laid back, but the idea of it is a little like, okay, well, we can take our time going into these places and doing these things.
Well, and I think that a lot of that tension is going to be managed by if Dan puts a lot of desperation in there,
Right.
And scarcity, and then also the plot, the pressures of the plot too.
The only thing I don't want out of that is it to become a clerk simulator, and we're all just keeping track of, I got 50 of these things, and I got 4 of those, and I got 6 of these, and I don't want a list of just ridiculous amounts of stuff that we've found. And
encumbrance is a major part of this game.
Yeah. Well, if we have a truck, I mean, it's like
Encumbrance is not a major part.
Well, and something that in the first game too is we were ostensibly merchants on a boat selling wine,
right?
But that is not what it was about.
Yeah.
At all. I mean, from like
you
the
sold
first
wine once,
10 minutes in, it's not about. In fact, there were a couple of people who listened to the show in the early days who were like, "Well, wait a minute, aren't you guys going to sell this wine? I mean, you got this whole line." It's like we're like, "Wine? What wine?"
Yeah, I just been in games where it's become a focus of like, what'd you find here, or what did I loot? Right. What do I find now? Like, I don't want it to be
spreadsheets of all your stuff.
I don't want one person to be making an entire like inventory list of stuff.
Well, and there's a lot of abstraction in Skies of Glass too.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also
There was a concept, I don't think, we didn't really talk about it this time, but in the early games, everything had, like, you didn't have a price for something. You wanted to buy a gun, there was no, you're going to pay $23 for this. Right. It was, there's a barter value. Mm-hmm. And that was the kind of thing that we would get in those early games, where that Dan wouldn't tell us necessarily what we found. You found about this much barter value that you can then trade.
And
I like that.
And I think it would work really good with that group worksheet, because that's how we ran the business with that piece of paper right there. It's just that because we were on the boat, you know how you're saying, well, it's really laid back, and that's what the boat was. If there wasn't a plot, that's what because we're lazily rolling down the river, occasionally making a business deal. Whereas I see this to have hotter transactions.
Yeah, well, because there could be bandits involved, like waiting for us in a town or something, or like a desolate town that
or they set us up, like go get this, but they're really just wanting to rob us because they can't get to it or whatever.
And that's why I said I like it. I don't think it's completely laid back. The idea is laid back, but it can be.
Yeah,
it can definitely be the opposite.
I want to use the group worksheet, and I want to utilize it with a more of a rotation than we had in the first game.
Yeah, I agree. We did very underutilize it because the games didn't go that direction.
No, it didn't. And that was fine. That was fine.
Yeah. We didn't make trades. We didn't.
Yeah, we were lazily floating down the river doing this plot, working on our drama.
Working our feelings out.
I know, right?
We could have been selling wine.
Instead, everyone was just sitting there, stomach down, feet up, kicking in the air, reading issues of 17.
That's right. We weren't even drinking the wine.
Okay, so we've got defectors of a number of places. We've got breachers.
I like putting the two ideas together, personally.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, my whole thing, as I was baking on this, is the breacher idea, if it's cool and everyone's down with it, we can plug any concept we want into it.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I like the idea of we have a vehicle because wherever we came from, we took the vehicle.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys this. So we talked about wanting to be... we didn't say we wanted to be bad guys. We left a place because reasons. And we had to run. Something bad happened, we had to run. So on a scale of, a good guy at a 1 and really bad guys at a 10, where do we want to be on the good guy, bad guy scale? As far as that goes.
Like as a group?
As a group, the reason we ran, the reason we left someplace, do we want to leave because we blew up an orphanage, or we left because we spoke out against the orphanage blower-uppers?
You came from a society that thrives on blowing up an orphanage, and whoever survives, the bomb gods have blessed, and they go on to be part of a limbless society.
A limbless society.
Well, and there is a in between too of
absolutely.
Wherever we came from had a plan. We just didn't care for the plan.
Yeah,
didn't have to be a good or a bad. It's just we felt differently, and so we took a truck and ran.
I was going to go the self-preservation route. I'm not above doing something that's considered evil to survive.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one thing I'd like to see for the first campaign. We were pretty well off. We had the luxury of being...
We were wealthy.
Yeah.
We were wealthy in SOG terms.
We had the luxury of not having to make the hard choices.
Right.
I like the idea of this group being not going so far as to say, we're not we're not evil, but we're not the good guys that the first group was.
Sure. I'm done with that.
Things are desperate. We have to make the harder choices.
And I'd like to point out, too, something that we talked about in the first group template sheet or whatever, of, we're trying to stay on the down low. We're hiding for some reason. We did something.
Right. We did something to piss somebody.
Yeah, it's not that we skipped out on our army contract and went AWOL. It's a little bit more than that. I don't know what.
Well, I mean, putting some of that stuff together, I mean, we could say that, we aren't, like I said, we're not ists. Right. We're not good people. We could be escaped convicts. Mm-hmm. Broke off the chain gang and took off,
Right.
Something I do want to ask before I forget. What about NPCs that are with us, kind of like Casey, or what? Is that something that we're looking at having, like a permanent fixture NPC in the group, or anything like that?
I don't have a problem with NPCs in the group. I think we need to have less of an ensemble cast. There were a lot of good NPCs that kind of disappeared. I mean, they were there, but
it was very hard to, especially, I guess, if I look at like the big four, which is Casey, Emily, Dr. Marshall, and Alejandro. It was hard to kind of keep all four in the air at once, while also handling whatever NPCs you're talking to, who aren't part of that.
Going back to the scarcity and no safety valves. I don't want
another Casey.
Exactly. I love the idea I love NPCs. I always love having one or two NPCs with us. I don't want them to be better than us at any particular thing. I don't want to have a combat monster NPC that can come in and save us, or the face man NPC that's going to come in and negotiate. Whoever we would have with us should.
I don't want a bone anchor NPC either. At least not first. I don't want to not Emily, but your kid.
Oh,
yeah, Leanne was great. Love the plotline and stuff. Just
you don't want to start with it though.
Right. That developed and came about. So
right. So my idea is, what if we were some sort of like escaped convicts, stole a vehicle of whatever it was, and in the process pissed off not just the people we escaped from, but someone else. Like somebody in the process of us stealing it, someone was killed.
Would there be prisoners in this world?
I would assume, yeah. There's civilizations.
Would you? Okay.
Or would there be a bolt in the back of your head?
Well, here's what I was gonna.
I bet Jacksonville would have a prison.
Jacksonville would have a prison, but escaping it, I mean, it would. I would say it's impossible. Nothing's impossible, but it would certainly be nigh impossible. You guys want to be from outside? Would you guys trust me to
never
create a storyline? You're going to be from something, either Olympus or the Moon Colony, and you're not going. That's going to be game zero, and how you end up basically dumped with nothing but your wits and maybe a little bit extra on Earth is game zero.
I assume Olympus is like
Olympus is a space station.
Okay, that's what
I'm down.
I love it, and it fits. We talked about
as long as we don't have to deal with gravity sickness and bone atrophy and all that sort of stuff.
No,
that's why I like being a part of the Zero game.
Yeah, I mean that's cool and all. I just don't want to turn it into a medical drama.
Nope.
Yeah.
Cool.
I wasn't going to deal with that anyway, and it's something that, well, some places better than others still deal with. For example, the space stations are still rotational, so they actually do have full gravity.
Yeah. Works for me if it works for you guys.
Yeah, I like that.
I love that idea, actually.
And being that level of outsider, we would be more cohesive. Because who do you trust?
Right.
We'd have to rely on each other.
And it goes back to we've seen better technology, so we recognize things a little more.
We actually have the skill sets to have structural engineers, mechanics for the trucks, technical people.
Well, and also I'm thinking it gives you some leads on things.
Does that sink work? I'm all sticky.
Yeah, the sink works.
We get a new guy, and I'm sticky.
It's the toilet.
They're talking about all these.
Don't use the toilet. You use the sink.
I get it.
But I was going to say, the other possible thing that gives you for your scavenging thing is you would possibly have maybe not a good knowledge of how things are, but you would have access to good information on how things were.
Yeah.
We could have...
Well, we would be educated.
That could be part of the breacher thing. It's like houses, yeah, sure, because we got to put food on their plates. But, we have our slam dunks of... We kind of know where military bases are, or research facilities, or things like that. Maybe we have a corrupted database we're trying to put together that's like a mapping database or something. It's...
The map of all of the Amazon warehouses.
Right.
Okay, so I think we've got a good thing.
Self-aware drones.
When and how did the characters first meet? So this is going to be you guys live together in a colony.
Yeah.
So you live together in a colony.
In a cell.
Cellmates.
That's right.
Well, let me ask you something. Do you want to be bad people, or do you want to simply be more like outcasts? I mean, do you want this to be something where you guys were put in space prison?
You can
or
be
it's
guilty, but you don't have to be morally repugnant.
Well, or I was going to say, or it could be something more like in a situation that rough, the group has to operate by consensus, and you guys weren't playing ball, and so they had to get rid of you for political reasons.
Oh, like political? How about a mix? Why not a mix?
That you weren't okay. All right, I will give
Because
you.
I've already like turning a character over in my mind.
As long as no one is
and
the
it's not a
far
political
gone,
Yeah,
you know,
bad idea.
Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal Lecter or group backstabbing, you know.
I got 25 for possession of, marijuana.
Well, it's the moon.
Space
Cigarettes.
Cigarettes, right? Yeah.
The space marijuana.
Not getting that out of the scrubbers.
Right.
All right, are the characters located together? Yes. Okay, so that's just to make sure I don't have to have you meet in a tavern. So yes. What major events have they shared in their past? I think we may have to come back to this
Session
one.
0.
Yeah, that's going to be session 0. Plus, I think someone's going to come out in character creation. So let's just put down that the major one is being
We're
imprisoned.
not cellmates, blockmates.
Yeah, or whatever you were. So being imprisoned together, and then also having come from the same isolated society. Okay, on a personal level, what keeps the characters together?
Well, we already talked about that. We pretty much just rely on each other because
Yeah, we're all strangers in a strange
Yeah.
land.
Okay, so survival.
We can't trust anyone else. Nobody would understand us.
Yeah.
we
Or
already
what
have a
went through.
background together.
I mean, it's like getting dropped in the middle of Syria or Afghanistan in modern day.
Right.
And we're not soldiers, but we get dropped there, and we're the only ones speaking English, and the only ones are American. Well, we're the only people from the moon who are
In a far less hostile situation, I was in Venezuela in 2001, which is before the country. It was on its way there, but this is long before the country got to the state it's in now. And so it's still doing pretty well. I ran into one other American. We were instantly friends.
right. That's the entire plot.
Lost
of
in translation.
Yeah, I may have met this guy on the streets of St. Louis, the real St. Louis, modern day St. Louis, and hated his ass. I have no idea, but heard one person speaking clear English with American accent.
Yeah.
Immediately recognized we were best friends for a few
It's
minutes.
just like in IT. You hear someone speaking plain English, and you're best friends.
Right.
Okay, what goals are shared by all the characters? Is it just survival, or do you guys have something bigger in mind?
I would like to have something bigger,
I mean, certainly survival is going to be.
but different than like the last game. Well, last game, I guess my character had bigger ambitions, but it was different than from what the group was. We don't want to do political stuff, right? Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, no, I was thinking if we wanted a long-term goal is find somewhere to settle that isn't a hellhole.
Yeah.
But we see everything as a hellhole.
We see everything as a hellhole. And our condition for settling is not, well, there's a town, we'll just roll in there and try to do odd jobs and make do. No, we want to get a payday so that we can roll into somewhere and make it safe and
Let me
secure.
ask you guys a question. Do you guys, because I think there's two ways to do this. One is to find an enclave. The other is to create an enclave.
Yeah.
Meaning you guys, from what you know of the world, realize, okay, there's very few such enclaves of high tech and high society, and they're not going to let you in. And the plot then can go one of two directions. Either you say, look, let's find one that will let us in, or convince one we know about to let us in, show our value to Jacksonville or something like that. Or we could go another direction if you guys say, you know what, we roll into this town, there's a handful of people, but they seem like good people. We're going to start building this town up. It's going to have some rules. It's going to have some whatever. We're going to start restoring infrastructure. we're going to put down our Gek. And, I'm being ridiculous, but you get my point, that you start using what you have to try and build and protect that kind of an enclave.
I really like that idea, actually.
I have to say, I don't know, because I don't really have my character's voice yet. I don't know if that's something that, you have to care about the people who are in the town. You have to care about the NPCs and stuff. So I don't know.
That could be a point of tension between the group too.
Yeah.
You have some like, we are never going to find anything better than this, and if we do, somebody's already got it, and we got to either take it or convince them to let us in. We should settle here. This is a nice place, and then there's like, no, I don't want to settle for a place like this. This is it's just a trumped up shithole.
Yeah. And going back to space is impossible, right? Near impossible.
It's highly unlikely.
So what if one of us was just like, no, I don't want to settle here because I know I'm going to get back.
So like convinced that you're going to actually make it back.
I'm going to get saved. They're going to come for me.
They're going to come find us.
And I can see the tension, right? But we always pull back together because we're the only sane people in this foreign, crazy, murderous land. So even if one of us wants to go back to space, one of us wants to settle here, one of us wants to go build something else, one of us wants to keep looking, we're never going to go off and do those things.
It also plays into the individual motivations. Let's say we were all prisoners, but some of us were pretty minor prisoners for minor things, thinking eventually they're going to forgive us. Maybe we could contact them down the road, or maybe if we have something of value, we could trade it for our freedom and have them bring us back. Whereas the person who's who is on death row is going, no.
Well, and there's also
sabotaging us. Maybe
what did we do as we create our characters? What did we do before we were in prison?
Right.
One of us, because we say an engineer. An engineer may have the mindset of, I want to build. I want to rebuild this. I can do this. Versus somebody, somebody that didn't have that background may have less hope of building something.
And what you encounter may also, of course, change your mind on that, because you guys may find some place that's relatively self-sufficient, would be easy to rebuild. You guys may convince somebody from Jacksonville that you're worth bringing into the fold, or not, and so we can leave that one open.
I'd also like everyone to have been in prison for a reason. No one's innocent. And that you have some moral failing that landed you there. So and it's
not the lawyer. The lawyer fucked me.
Yeah. It's not the lawyer fucking. You're not. Yeah, every one of us is innocent, but it's you. You did something. It's not. I mean, I guess if somebody wants to play a political prisoner, that's fine. But
I wasn't thinking about doing it. But one of the ideas I thought of was, a change in hands of who's in charge, and the old regime, that the people that supported them, locked away.
Right.
It's not what I have in mind, because I already kind of thinking on what I want my crime to have been.
Yeah. Crime, just one. Sure.
Well, this does bring me to the next question. We're almost to the end here, and some of this is going to be, I think, determined by the character creation, but something we're going to watch for is there enough moral agreement among the characters to keep them from abhorring each other? Yeah. This is the don't have the paladin and the chaotic evil guy in the same party question. So if, one of you is a political prisoner and one of you is a butcher of men, then,
I think that's another thing is, as much as I want to see people have a moral failing that landed them in the prison in the first place, everyone needs to see value in their.
If you've got a total sociopath, I think that's going to be a problem for the group.
And from a setting thing, because we've never gotten into this, what would the prison be like on the moon or the station?
Well,
why wouldn't they just airlock you?
Yeah, my question is, again, it gets back to the one: what prison is there that? The crimes have to be interesting enough for us to commit to be interesting characters, so it's not a drunk tank.
Well,
why wouldn't they? Who would not just shoot us in the back of the head?
My thoughts are people are resources.
Yeah.
It's a prison, sure, but it's a work prison. Mm-hmm. You have to do the jobs that they need you to do, whatever that may be. You know, I don't know if there was mining on the moon, if we were from the moon, but
That's a good idea, because then you could have your soldier type who maybe, because of this work prison, have other skills like operating heavy machinery or something like that, where normally, you know, they might not have that.
yeah, because I'm kind of back to the same idea. Why wouldn't they airlock someone?
Right.
Or why wouldn't they? And I like the
I have an idea to
people
get-
are resources.
Well, and I also have the idea, like on the moon, life is precious. The world got nuked. Even scum life is life, and should be held precious.
Well, and also, people like to believe, and this is going to get into kind of my dark philosophies, but I think history bears it out. People like to believe they are as civilized as possible. If they look at what's going on Earth and see life being disposed of, they see a lot of death, they see a lot of killing, they're getting stories possibly from whomever down there about what's going on, they may simply draw a line of, we can't let ourselves become that. And to airlock somebody would be to become that.
Be barbaric.
And so they have to come up with some other way. We're going to put you in restraints and make you work. We're going to put you in stasis. So you're using resources, but not that many. Mm-hmm. You know, we're going to find some relatively efficient way to get you out of the way without dirtying our hands.
right.
And because they're going to want to believe themselves to be better. You know, to say that we have not become what the rest of everyone else is. Mm-hmm. And that was the approach I was thinking about taking this from. Now, an alternative could be that maybe this happened in terms of you guys getting put in stasis or something like that, so close to the detonation of the bombs that people hadn't become that desperate yet. And so they were willing to spend the resources to get rid of you guys in a more humane way than execution. And some years later, the system starts failing and you wake up, or whatever. That's an option.
Yeah, I don't want to be man from the past. Personally, I want to be, you know,
Okay.
bored
Could
of
be
this
fun,
age.
but I like the idea of a work that they put us to work.
Okay. Then we can go with that. So they put you to...
Or we could have done maybe a mix of that. So if you
Yeah.
want your character to have been, you know, cryo-freezed or, you know, in stasis of some sort, then you have that option. Or you can be... So you can play
Yeah.
Or maybe you were cryo-freezed until a point where they got tired of keeping the equipment up, so they woke you up and put you to work.
Right. You're like, oh, okay, I guess I'm working now.
I do think we should have worked... Well, the zero session and the jump takes care of that. I was going to say I think we should have worked together up there, but with the zero session and then a jump after that, that takes care of any party cohesion.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put down here, yes, if careful with nature of crimes. So I'm going to put just a note here that we're going to need to watch that in character creation, that nobody's made something who's
I'm a Black Widow.
not...
I marry rich men and
and kill him.
Yeah.
not simply guilty of, but is enthralled by acts that are so terrible that it's like someone else like, no. All right, so is there any potential conflict between character personalities, goals, or ethics that become so great that the plot will fizzle out or players will be excluded? So not tension, but is there any sign of tension so severe?
Too soon to answer the question.
Yeah, I'll agree. It's simply, I'll just put could happen. Could happen, monitor in character creation. We just don't have the character concepts yet. Okay. And what plot elements are in the group's history the game master can use in his or her plot? I think where you guys come from, your guys' origin story, and knowledge.
Well, and depending on the person's crime, if we weren't the only ones that left.
Yeah, could be others out there.
Yeah, I mean, let's say one of us did murder somebody up there, they could have a relative that's on the planet with us.
Maybe there was a mass escape and, all of us fled on a ship and there were like dozens of us. Then when we hit down, a bunch of the big guys, big dogs started trying to take charge and there was a fight and the four of us were like, fuck this, we're out.
Okay, I already know what I'm going to do with you guys. So,
Do
all right.
to us?
Sure. To you, with
That
you,
too.
on you. So, all right, let's actually get down to character creation. So we'll need to keep an eye on some of the stuff in plot. Let's start hearing pitches for character concepts.
Black Widow.
There's
Married rich men and killed him.
terrible idea in space.
What?
I had an idea for possibly
Unworkable. Next.
for like some sort of. Did anybody have an idea for like a doctor or something?
No,
I don't want to step on anybody's toes. An idea for like maybe a surgeon, and perhaps I killed somebody on the table that I didn't like
Oh, like
agree with in some way, and
the warden or something.
right, like I'm in prison because I killed somebody,
so like
and
the-
now in the prison I'm a
Like-
doctor.
Like, they died on your table and it was all real tragic. And then the investigation found malpractice. And
Right.
then the malpractice investigation found malice.
Right. Yeah, I did it on purpose.
Yeah.
And there was a reason that's
So dudes like banging your wife, or
no, maybe like a moral reason, like this person's like a really shit person, like they're really well known to do, and I was like one of the only people at the time that could save them from some accident or something.
Or somebody with like political pull.
Right.
Yeah, like
And-
the prefect of
well, or what if they were an
place.
important person but a terrible person?
Well, yeah.
So like somebody that was something like, okay, so on the space station, it does have, to a limited extent, its own ecosystem. So this is somebody who's an expert in that ecosystem. They could be a botanist or something like that. And maybe one of the few, if not the only, the station has, but you come to find out that this person has also been hoarding food such that people that he deems, or sectors of the station that he deems less important, have been starving to death. And if you put him back there, he's going to keep on doing it.
Right.
So you
Maybe somebody died because of that, or
maybe something close to
some
you
sort of
died.
abuse happened.
And so you let him die, or you kill him intentionally on the table, but that robs the space station of somebody they really needed.
Right.
And so
So it was like a fit of like anger. Maybe it was something I was fighting with. And from there, if I was put into a prison, I'm a commodity. I'm a doctor. There's not going to be that many.
They can't kill him. Yeah, they can't execute him.
So they would probably put me to work doing, checkups and maybe some surgeries or something here and there, something like that.
or even if nothing else, just you
Regular.
de facto doctor for the prison.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't give a doctor for the prison. You just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the guy who does taxes, the
So,
accountant.
I thought something like that because I'm sure, like on the planet, that'll come in handy, and I'm sure we're not going to see too many doctors.
Okay. So he's thinking an MD that, for whatever reason, played Angel of Death. Anyone else got a concept?
Almost fully formed, still fleshing. So if anyone else has something.
What do you got?
I'm trying to figure out what my crime was, but I have the idea for an engineer, and I like the idea of the crime was basically resources are scarce.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever he did was to get resources for somebody he cares about that didn't actually deserve them. So stole resources, redirected power, did something
Black
along.
marketeer.
Maybe we can tie you two characters together right away. What if you got life-saving medical supplies to him to save the lives of mere prisoners, when it should have gone to good folks who didn't make bad choices?
I like that idea.
I like that too.
And that ties the two of you together.
Yeah, I used my job and role to get access to supplies. Basically, there's something broken. I go to fix it, and then leave in my toolbox with medical supplies.
I like that.
I like that. I think that worked for Luke. So that was what I had in mind, though. Something selfishly got resources to give to somebody he cared about. So not just specifically to give to the doctor, but I stole because somebody I cared about was in the prison.
Okay. So in D&D terms, you were highly chaotic good. Ish. Yeah. Blast radius of that alignment. Okay.
I was a prisoner. I was a prison guard, and I murdered a prisoner.
Ooh. Why?
Some people just need killing.
So like an Amadeus Arkham kind of thing?
Just,
even in prison, there are crimes the other prisoners don't approve of.
Well, that, and, there's no death penalty. Maybe there was some real sick, psychopathic fuck, and...
You killed the Jeffrey Dahmer of...
Right, and I...
Do the other prisoners, because this is important, do the other prisoners approve of what you did? Or are you like, there's too little air, I'm just going to cut off air to this cell? Or was it more like, this is a chomo, nobody wants this guy alive, I'm going to kill him?
The other prisoners, and not necessarily these guys, but the prison in general, I was a hated guard. I was tough. I was mean. I was a son of a bitch. But then I was the only one who killed the one guy worth killing, and then they put me into general population. I had a trial. I was no longer a guard. I was a prisoner. And, it was not easy. There were other prisoners. They tried to take whacks at me. Other prisoners was like, no, he killed this pedophile that we couldn't touch.
It would be like if Batman killed Joker and went to jail for it. Everyone's happy Joker's gone, but it was still Batman.
Right. And so there's some who took swipes at me. There's some who didn't. And I don't know what these guys' opinion of me is, but I was there for a couple of years. It wasn't like this happened and we escaped. But, yeah.
Okay. So
I'm thinking as far as like a role like doctor, engineer, I'm more combat.
Some more combat, law enforcement.
The guard, yeah.
Okay. Eric, what are you thinking?
I was thinking, like, I was put in prison because of a political dispute. Like, I was on the wrong side of a, non-hostile takeover attempt, a coup attempt, but...
I like the idea of attempt, that it wasn't successful.
No, it wasn't successful. I was put into prison, and then I used, connections or just a way of stirring people up to even attempt a prison riot or a prison revolt. So stirring like just a pot stirrer who, he's good at talking to people. He's good at getting people to see things his way.
Hey man, got revolution. You want to come?
It's something like that where he's always looking for an angle. He's always looking for some way to not necessarily exploit a situation, but he's always looking for in game terms. He's not necessarily a face, but he's certainly like an info gatherer kind of.
Yeah. Intelligence sort of.
Yeah. Gathers intelligence. Like sows a little discord if he needs to, or kind of turns things.
I see it like Lee exploited situations. You create situations.
Kind of like Ratman.
Yeah. I see my character in the couple of years he was in prison. He killed a couple of more prisoners who came at him, and he took some injuries and got patched up by the doc. Maybe that's how him and the doc know each other.
I might have to big in the space station a little bit. I wasn't picturing one quite large enough population-wise to have this size of a prison. So that's fine, though. The space station just got bigger.
Yeah. Well, are we on the moon or are we on the space station?
If you want to not have gravity problems, you're going to need to be on a space station. They can't spin the moon any faster.
Right.
The other idea I had was almost like a computer engineer who designed the security of the prison, and then was put in prison to keep him from, kind of like the old, the person who builds your castle, then you put him in prison so that way no one knows.
No one knows the secret.
Right.
Yeah.
Pineapple? Do both?
Could be.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of being on the wrong side.
So could you maybe have been something like an information systems or electronics kind of guy who maybe knew too much, and as a result, you were able to do things like turn cameras on and off, to misdirect emails, whatever. In doing so, you caused a lot of issues and eventually got caught.
Right.
Which took a while because it's hard to get information on the guy that manages information.
Right.
But once you did, it's kind of like, we can't trust this guy anywhere but locked up,
Right.
away from...
Or put him in stasis so that way, maybe it's one of those things where, life is precious, and this guy, he knows too much, but he's a big brain. We might need his DNA, or we might want to harvest some of his seed.
Yeah, well,
we might and we'll milk him.
That's the only thing they left out of the ice.
Yeah. Or maybe they were trying to extract some, not semen from me, but trying to extract like some passwords, some ideas, some plans, some technical knowledge you had, and you refused to do it. And they're like, okay, well, we're not going to put you in stasis. We're going to put you in general pop and see how long you survive.
Right. Yeah, you won't last 2 days out there with the real criminals.
That could fit in really
But
well
then
with your coup idea, though.
Yeah.
Whoever was trying to take over, you were their tech guy, and you said everything like it was going to happen. And when they lost, you didn't turn it back on.
Yeah. And then you pulled together a group to kind of protect you, because they were right. In those 2 days, you're not going to survive. But you saw individuals who were not part of like the Aryan Brotherhood or anything like that.
Right.
And you kind of recruited people in.
And then flash to whenever we're on Earth, my guy would be the one going, that's technology. That's technology. Yeah. Where yours is the more structural and things like that.
Yeah, trying to fix things when we get it back.
Yeah, like a team, almost like you and I would work together. And I would know the schematics for this. I remember it looked like this, and you're trying to to build it from.
Yeah, I like a little crossover skills too.
All right, so you're more of electrical engineer, information systems type stuff. He's more mechanical engineering.
Yeah. I had whatever vehicle we have, I would probably be the one doing most of the fixing of it.
Okay. Military, combat, and then doctor. Okay. So that covers a pretty good range of skills. All right. So if you guys are ready to do actual character creation, easy way to do it is start by putting a 6 in each of the attributes and then upping and downing until they're where you want. You have a total of 36 points. You put across body, perception, social, agility, smarts, and speed.
What's a max?
10 is the max, 2 is the min.
Okay. And what exactly, what's an average?
An average would be about a 5.
Okay.
So I'm making the characters a little above average.
Max is what?
Is 10.
10?
Okay. And
Casey or Lee had 12s in social and smarts, I thought.
No.
So I know he was min-max.
Yeah, he was min-max.
He had a 10.
Because we were testing the rules.
Yeah, he had a 10.
10?
No, 10 is the max.
And so bodies are a con, basically.
So yeah, body is strength. This is basically, it's strength, and it will to some extent serve as constitution.
Okay.
Perception is literally your likelihood of noticing something, your sensory awareness, the sharpness of your senses. Social is ability to think abstractly, ability to interact with people. Agility is going to be, I use for both fine and gross motor skills. Smarts is more of your comprehension, deduction, induction, memory. Speed is literal, flat, physical speed of movement.
Dan, for, let's say, fixing a truck, would that fall under agility or smarts or what?
That'd be smarts, almost invariably.
Okay.
And now, I mean, something like trying to pull a belt on, that might be body, but 99% of the time you're going to be doing smarts. Perception certainly would not be a bad idea to notice things like problems, but smarts is going to be your big one. So a total of 36, min of 2, max of 10. If you go over 10, be prepared to start selling me on why you're either gene modded or aboard.
I'm got radiated.
That's going to start giving you negatives.
What? That's not what I see on
Add
TV.
leukemia.
I don't know what that is, but it's
I like
awesome. I think I am.
I'm going to put the me back in leukemia.
All right, this is what I got.
8 body, 5 perception, 7 social, agility, 5 smarts, 4 speed. Looks good to me.
All right. I already know what my competence and reliability are going to be.
All right, so Chad's got his down. I'm just vamping here for the people listening. Chad's got his done. Wayne, Eric, and Brandon are still working on theirs. If you want to see the other stuff we do, you can find it at feartheboot.com. If you want to see the stuff that Eric and Brandon do, you can find that at gamerstable.com with a capital T, brought to you by Fear the Boot.
Did you see his dice pack?
No, I didn't. They changed their logo too now. It's capital T. I'm so proud. It's the best money I've ever spent, ever. No medical bill, no nothing. Oh, it's a 1917. I thought it was 17 and 17. I'm like, that doesn't add up to 36. So 4, 6, 9. So 8 in smarts, 5 in speed. Okay, that's good to me.
All right, so I got my competent and reliability there.
Presence and
Scrapping.
scrapping.
So
Wait, scrapping as in... Okay, so you mean...
beating heads, cracking heads.
Could you change that to like hand-to-hand combat or melee?
No, that's too specific. He's cracking heads.
Then put cracking heads.
I will put cracking heads.
Because what do you mean by presence exactly?
So I was going to put intimidation.
Yeah.
But that's a skill in too many different systems. And it's too specific. It's, you're going to do what I say, but that's not what he is. He's just, like, he walks into a room, you know he's in the room. He's standing behind him while he's talking, somebody's shitting their pants. Not because of what he's saying, but because he's sitting there staring through you.
Okay.
You know, he
Okay.
just, and it's not a good sort of like, it's not like, oh, well, he's here and I feel safe, and that's no, it's like intimidating. Because he's a pretty big guy. I mean, he's not Casey,
Right.
crazy, but
No, Casey was. Yeah, he was. He wasn't gene modded, but he was.
well, he had the
Yeah, I mean, first of all, he was picked out of a large population for what he was. He was on drugs, and he was also then had the cybernetic rig.
Yeah.
That put him over human max stats.
I think I'm good with that.
Okay, so Wayne looks like high on smarts, a little above average on body, and a little bit below average on the social, but basically a pretty down the middle character. So
Yep.
no massive highs or lows. Okay, so you're a bit slow, a bit weak, but you're a very smart guy. We'll do you well. All right, so here's what we're going to do next. Competence and incompetence. The competence is a skill set that whenever you have to go to roll, you get to roll 3 dice and pick your best 2. With incompetence, you roll 3 dice and pick your worst 2. Now here's how it works. Your competence and incompetence must be similar in terms of their specificity or vagueness. Here's what I mean. They don't have to be related. So you can be competent at, I don't know, shooting a gun, and incompetent at fixing a car. Okay, they don't have to balance each other in that way. What they do have to do is represent similarity of scope and relevance. Okay, so you cannot pick a competence of combat. I am good at all forms of combat. My incompetence is I suck at knitting, which is never going to come up in the game and is incredibly narrow and incredibly specific. You could, however, say my competence is I can do anything that God has ever thought of with blue yarn, and my incompetence is I'm terrified of red yarn, because they're equally irrelevant, they're equally specific. So your competence and your incompetence need to be similar in scope and game relevance, but they can be whatever you want them to be. So the competence describes what you are naturally good at or trained to do, and your incompetence represents what you have a serious problem with. And once again, they do not have to be related. So if this is, don't think it's like D&D, where if I'm good at fighting with a sword, I'm no good at magic. They're not.
Chip, how high are you going with body?
9.
9?
Or 8? No, 8. I'm at 8.
Struggle all that nerd shit. I work with that. I can do it. That's fine.
Yeah. And the incompetence is likability.
Yeah.
Like, he, just as much as he walks into a room and he has this presence of people like, oh shit.
Yeah.
People are like, oh shit. He can't go up to people and make friends.
Not easily.
Not easily.
It can happen.
Yeah.
Just like,
we're comrades.
Yeah,
here,
and it is possible you can win somebody over time. I will take that into account, though, in general, because, and it's going to be interesting because you're going to test the rules in a way where I'm going to have to do some creative work here. Because presence and likability, those are far more passive than active skills.
Yep.
Now, I mean, I could call for them, or you could call for them, but it is also sort of thing. I walk into a room and everybody notices me, but nobody likes me. That's not exactly a role,
right? And that's what I was thinking too when I had it. It's like him and I walk into a room and he starts spinning his shit, and I'm just standing behind him.
Yeah.
I don't do anything, but nobody's gonna fuck with him.
So, like, Brandon, in your case, your competence could be medicine, or a surgeon, or it can be descriptor because it could be a surgeon, a job, or something like that. Your incompetence, then, once again, should be something of an equal value. So maybe if your competence is medicine, your incompetence, I would accept something like mechanics,
right?
Or fist fighting. I mean, or you don't want to break your hands,
right?
Or beer pong.
Yes, that totally matches in relevance and scope. I mean, if your competence is quarters, I'll give you an incompetence of beer pong.
Yeah. I have a very specific ask for possession. So
your incompetence is going to be melee or whatever.
Okay, so you said.
Oh no, you're on mechanics.
I didn't. I think that makes sense.
Okay, so it wasn't.
I understand
you're not
body,
good,
but
I
not
understand
machinery.
big and tough, but not as big and tough as you. That's why I'm trying to.
Well, and remember, you could even be bigger and tougher than me. My thing is, just I'm like if this was noir, I'm the gunslinger. I'm just.
Okay, 2 questions, Eric, on yours. One,
Okay.
what do you mean by abstract technology design?
Like jury rigging things that probably shouldn't go together. But I don't build them. I just go, dude, take this power cell, and add it to this, and do this, and do it in this.
Okay,
this
so jury rigging, tinkering, at an engineering level, that kind of thing.
Right, but it's not necessarily. It's more on the theoretical level instead of the hands-on level, because that would be.
Okay, so
I'm doing like taking the idea of the town blacksmith has a laser pistol that he has rigged up into a lathe.
Okay, I also have a question on reliability and struggle, because your reliability is first impressions, which is fine. Your struggle is the ladies, which is fine. What am I supposed to ask for if I'm looking for the first impression of a lady?
Well, he's into the ladies. The ladies aren't necessarily into him. So he comes off as, somebody who's super confident, but the ladies are like a little off-put. He's like, something's wrong with
So
this.
if I'm dealing with, if the role comes down to your first impression with a female, does the struggle trump the reliability? Does the reliability trump the struggle, or do they neutralize each other?
I don't know that they would even go together, because it sounds like
his first impression with a guy would be great, but with a woman, he would sound like an asshole.
Or I see it more along the lines of first impression. Oh yeah, nice guy. I'm not sleeping with him though.
Right, that's exactly right. He wants to. He wouldn't mind sleeping with everybody.
But a lady comes up to you. She's the most beautiful woman on earth, and you've been putting the moves on her all night, and then she's like, "I love you, like a brother."
Well,
yeah.
The other part of that would have been.
So it's ladies specifically in terms of romance.
Captain Friendzone.
Here's what Captain Friendzone. Actually, the initial idea was I make a great first impression, but if a lady shows interest, I'm weak at the knees. Whatever you want, baby. Whatever you want.
So I'm going to give you... Okay. I'm It's like I could give you some really abusive NPCs, but I don't want to go. Okay, so Brandon, the way reliability and struggle work is a reliability could be a subset of your competence or incompetence. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it could be something like trauma wounds, okay, or something like that, or it could be something completely unrelated. So your reliability could be firing a pistol. Right. Now, reliability and struggle, like competence and incompetence, do have to balance each other out in terms of relevance and in terms of scope. All right? But they can be whatever you want. What reliability and struggle mean is with reliability and struggle, with a reliability, you will never critically fail. So you may fail the roll, but you will never fail in such a way that the failure is catastrophic to you in an additional way. Okay, so if you let's say you took guns or pistols and you critically fail so bad, you're not going to shoot a fellow party member. You may still miss the shot, but you're not going to shoot a fellow party member. Struggle is the reverse. This is just something, no matter how hard you try, you might succeed, but you're never going to impress anybody with this. So your struggle, you can never critically succeed. Now, it doesn't mean you can't succeed, but you will always succeed in a relatively banal way.
Okay.
I find it helps to say it like a sentence. Like, my character is pretty reliable at cracking heads, but he really struggles with all that nerd shit.
Yeah, and that's the idea, is think of it as a reliability is the sort of thing maybe you're good at. So once again, it could be a subset of your competence. But it's more like, we know if we send him to do this, it's going to get done.
Right.
You know, maybe he's not the best in the world, maybe he's not the worst, but we know he's going to get it done. The struggle's more like, okay, we really should not be asking him to do this.
So,
because he's, you know, it's.
What if I did reliability? Could I do like? I mean, this kind of goes with surgery. This would also, I guess, go with us and something else while we're doing. What if I did like bladed tools or bladed weapons or something like that?
Sure, blades. You can take blades as your reliability.
And then my struggle, does it have to correlate with that?
Nope.
No.
What if struggle could be completely unrelated?
What if socially I'm pretty cold? Like if I was in a situation that would, you know, merit compassion, maybe I don't care. Like, I normally in my line of work, compassion isn't something I'm supposed to really have a lot of the time. That doesn't mean I can't get like angry or something like that. I can be brash or
crap bedside manner.
That's actually what I was thinking from a doctor's standpoint.
I've had a lot of doctors that have terrible bedside manner.
Right. There's a reason they become surgeons. Is because they don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah. You just deal with unconscious people.
So so that's totally fine. So your reliability is blades, and your struggle is any form of socialization that requires compassion or signs of compassion, bedside manner. I'll
put bedside manner.
Bedside manner. Okay. So you can pick the phrase to describe that.
Like, yeah, you're going to lose your leg. Sorry about you.
Struggling with my incompetence on this one.
Good news is you will play piano again.
So
you just won't press the pedals.
I'm thinking flip-flopping my ladies and pain tolerance, so I struggle with pain tolerance, so it's like, don't hurt me. But the incompetence is the ladies. So that way it's not, you know, I can't crit with the ladies doesn't make a lot of sense, but if I'm resisting the ladies and making it my incompetence, that seems a lot.
Sure, this works for me. Waiter?
So I'm struggling with incompetence. Summary what I got so far.
Well, you should be struggling with incompetence.
Competence is, I can fix that. So that's a pretty broad one. So I'm trying to come up with an incompetence that's pretty broad to match that. Reliability is brawling. Struggle is all of them social graces. Basically, he's crass, which is why his reliability is brawling, because he gets himself into some fights, especially while he was in prison. So I'm struggling with an incompetence that is fitting, that is as broad as I can fix that.
Especially given the relevance to that in this game.
Exactly. So it's got to be something pretty broad. That makes sense.
With blue yarn.
Knitting with blue yarn.
Well, I thought about
alpaca.
Yeah.
Something I had thought about with the whole making a sentence out of it, but maybe that would have been better for struggle, was I can fix that, but it ain't pretty. I like the idea of he can get just about anything to work, but it's not going to be safe, and it may not work for long.
And nobody would buy it.
Your incompetence is, how to say it, unreliability.
That's what I was saying. Is
Yeah.
maybe his incompetence is long-term fixes.
Right.
I like that. Like he can jerry rig. He can get anything to work, but it's not going to last, and it's not
But
going to be safe.
What situations would he roll that in?
And that's where I was struggling with: is where would I? How would I roll
I'm
that?
thinking
Well, just fix it.
anytime work of his comes under stress. So I can fix that. Okay, the car's back on the road.
Now we're being chased.
Now
with
we're
pedals to the
being
metal.
chased. Yeah, it's pedals to the metal, roll, a wheel came off.
Right. It's why we're constantly having to like scrounge for parts for the.
So I can accept that. So yeah, I can fix it, but
But it ain't pretty.
check my work.
It ain't pretty or reliable.
I think I'm going to change around my social in my body. 'cause
That's
it
fine.
makes sense.
Is there a
That's
trash
fine.
can around here?
Yeah, I have one right here.
And I'm sticky again.
Damn, Brandon.
So I dropped.
Sorry, man.
I dropped my social down to 4 and raised my body. Up
Yeah,
to
you're right.
Okay.
1 for that.
All right. Possessions, weapons, and armor. We will presume that this is going to be stuff that you have as of game 1, not the flashback game 0, because you're in prison. I get to define what you have. So by the time the game starts, you've been on Earth a little bit. You've scavenged a little bit. We're talking about those. What possessions, weapons, armor do you have?
I missed that first part.
Okay, so
So we're not doing possessions that we had on.
on the space station, because when you guys start off and you're all in lockup or cryo or whatever,
Right. I can't have my laser shiv.
precisely, you don't get to pick that. So I will tell you what you have then. What I want to know is the possessions, weapons, and armor that you're putting down here is going to be for game 1, which takes place after you've been on Earth a bit, you've done some scavenging, you've lost some possessions, you've gained some possessions.
I have a fairly big ask for an item.
Oh, this is you drew that out. I'm like, I have a
speed.
I know, right?
You drew that out.
you
I'm like,
wanna
I have a
run?
fairly big ass cup, and I'm like, okay, you're a Kardashian. That ass is a reliability.
That's right.
That's not a possession.
I struggle with that. Ass.
I don't struggle. All the boys struggle with this
I
ass.
struggle with mirrors.
So my ask is, I want a GC, and I want a very specific GC.
Which is
I want a full-blooded GC Blue Jay. I want one that was designed to be a pet. I want it to be intelligent, because Blue Jays are corvids, so they're naturally intelligent anyway. I want it to be a bit more intelligent. And I want to be able to give it certain commands to do things.
like what? I'm not saying no. I'm just curious.
Right.
Like what?
No, I want to peck people's eyes out on command. But
Okay. Yes. Go on.
steal the guard's keys. Whatever.
Actually, you know what's an even more intelligent bird than the blue jay? If you want to go that route.
No, I want a Blue Jay.
Okay,
Specifically a Blue Jay.
Okay.
Like a
So
raven there.
I was gonna say yeah,
Yeah.
crow or something. They're very. They actually
you don't get that is the edgelord.
they do generational tool building.
Right.
They actually not only build tools, they teach tool building and they improve on tools from
Right.
one bird to the next.
Nope, I want a Blue Jay. And Blue Jays are like blue. Yes, but they're also like the alarms of the forest. They have a very loud call, but they also sit up in trees, and when
Yeah, it's good.
danger approaches,
Okay, I have a question here because it's the GC, so
Yeah.
this is a choice. Blue jays are also pretty big dicks.
yes. Well, see, that's the other thing.
Do you want that bred out of this thing? Or do you want it still to kind of be a dick?
I want it to still kind of be a dick because the personality traits of Blue Jays is that they are also bullies.
Yeah.
Like they play jokes on other
Animals.
yeah.
And on other animals. They're real dicks.
Yeah, they will sit up there and they will imitate a cat to get the other birds to go away and then land and eat what the other birds are
Yeah.
eating. They will, like there's a flock of birds eating a bunch of seeds, they will just land right in the middle of them and scatter them because they're bigger. And then eat one seed and fly away.
Yeah. I'm not going to say I took a tennis racket to a blue jay because of what it was doing once, but I'm not going to say I didn't.
So I have a question for you. You know how much I love GCs.
Right.
So it was bred as a pet. What are the traits that they improved on it for as a pet,
I want
besides intelligence?
I want to be a little bit more intelligent, but
Yeah.
it doesn't talk or anything like that. It's not a familiar. I want to
No,
be
I wouldn't give you that anyway.
loyal to me, bonded
so
to
it's
me.
bonded,
it's
yeah.
not just going to fly away and fuck Blue Jay chicks. And,
Well, that has a whole new meaning. Now it's a pedophile.
Right.
That's right. Because now that within birds, going after chicks.
I know, it's bird law, man.
It's bird law.
So it's a bit more intelligent. I can give it commands like I want it to be able to tell it to, fly around and then yell if it sees
Well, I have to imagine. Okay, so as a pet, there are certain animals that people are attracted to as pets because of the fact that their mischievousness has a value provided two things. One, the mischievousness has boundaries.
Right.
And two, the mischievousness also tends to represent a certain psyche or a certain loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be a bit goofy, but it's not going to be a constant antagonist to your character.
Right.
It's not going to, unless you're a dick to it, in which case maybe it will be.
No, we like each other.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Yeah. It can pick up small items.
How did you get this thing? I don't know. I have no problem with this. How did you get this thing?
Well, this is Earth. We can't do stuff that we brought down with us.
Right.
So it's not from the station. Well,
no, you could have brought it from the station. You just won't have it. When we do the prison game, you don't have your Blue Jay. I mean, you could have grabbed a GC egg and brought it with you, and you've incubated it or something.
What I was having in mind was, we were in a town or something.
Yeah.
And there was a marketplace, and somebody had this pre-war box, right? And it's like it's a piece of technology.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't open it. Nobody knows what it is. And I bought it for $1, or the equivalent thereof.
Yeah.
And
you bought it for a handful of screws.
Right. And I was kind of playing around with it, and because I'm from the moon and I understand what technology is, like I was able to plug a PDA into it, a computer or something like that, and find out what it is, or I knew what it was. This was a incubator case that basically cryogenically froze Blue Jay eggs. And there was one viable one left. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to make scrambled eggs. I'm going to hatch it.
I could see you having to ask his character from the electronic standpoint of it, because it's all that nerd shit.
Well, it's all that nerd shit.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, I bought this thing. What is that? And you're like, holy shit.
That's a GC Blue Jay egg.
So, okay, and I could see this even being something like, this isn't necessarily directly from a lab. I mean, this was a pet store item.
Right.
That you went to the pet store, you don't look at cages. You walk down the line and you look at, here's a picture of what it will look like. Here's what its personality will be like. Here's the commands it will know.
Yeah.
I mean, you pick these things out by menu. Somebody pulled that box off a shelf and it was in some kind of, packed with dry ice or whatever. I'm just making stuff up. Techno-stasis wizardry.
Right.
Took it home, and on the night that they were going to give it to Billy Boy for his birthday, the world got nuked.
Yep.
And it just sat there and collected dust and
it was
picked it up.
It was starting to break down. There were 4 eggs in it. 3 of them are toast.
Yeah.
They didn't make it. And it had just enough juice to get the last one out. But what I want out of it, it's slightly bigger and more endurance. I mean, it's not going to take a bullet or anything, but it's just a little bit stronger, tougher than the Blue Jay, which again is not saying much. It's a bit smarter. Not that I can talk to it or anything. It's still a bully and mischievous, but not to me because it's bonded to me. It does the alarm thing, and it is a more brilliant shade of blue. Like it's not.
It's a lighter shade of pale.
Well, it's not cyberpunk glowing blue, but they altered its morphics to be a more blue color.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll work out an email what commands it knows.
Yeah.
I obviously want a toolkit.
I would assume so. Okay, so yeah, toolkit.
I want, on the weapon side, brass knuckles that I've made myself.
That's sure. Easy enough.
So obviously they're not actually made of brass or anything, but I've taken machine parts and I've made.
It could be brass. Why? I mean,
Oh, yeah, I guess it would make sense for machine. But basically, he's made them himself. They're not nice, clean machine, pretty ones like you would buy now at a flea market or something.
No, that's fine.
This is something kind of a dirty.
Yeah, no pretty brass knuckles with flowers and shit.
I've seen them. I've
Yeah,
seen
I'm
cat-shaped ones.
Right.
well, I do have a trench knife upstairs. That's which is a knife that has its brass knuckles for the handle.
My Blue Jay's name is Blue, by the way.
That's fine.
Because I'm
Call whatever the hell you want.
That's right, it's mine.
It is literally. I mean, you could call this thing whatever the heck you want upon hatching, and you'll only have a really confusing situation if you call it a command word.
Right.
From a setting standpoint, Dan, this is slightly in the future, and we came from a space station.
Yeah.
I want something that's a higher technology that wouldn't be in everyday use. I was thinking something related to, his previous job too. But I'm struggling to come up with like what kind of tool would be, what kind of power tool or whatever.
You want a band scanner?
What does it do?
A band scanner? It basically looks across the electromagnetic band, particularly within like radio waves, microwaves, things like that, to look for signals.
Yes, that's perfect.
Like, dude, you use them all the time for Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Okay.
You probably have one on your phone right now, I'm going to guess. Or if not, you've had one at some point.
Oh, yeah.
But broaden that, and that's a band scanner.
Okay.
So, because Wi-Fi looks in a really narrow range, whereas you can get band scanners. We actually used one in one of my previous jobs. Shannon was using it because we were trying to figure out why we kept losing Wi-Fi signals. Yep. And what we learned is microwave ovens cut right across the Wi-Fi band. Don't ever put your router too close to a microwave. But we only learned that by noticing sudden spikes on this band scanner every time, like at certain intervals. Like, what is going on?
And also, don't buy wireless cards from China that all have the same MAC address.
Yeah, we had that too. They were repeating MAC addresses. The line would break down, and they would just reset the whole line, including the MAC address counter.
I don't get it. It's all that nerd shit.
All right, so that's fine. Band scanner. So it will help you notice signals and their strength.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing. So I didn't want something that would be like I didn't want the sonic screwdriver.
Right.
But something that not everyone else would have.
I know some miscellaneous stuff that I want.
So as far as I'm concerned, you guys can just start. I mean, you can write stuff down now. If you want pointers, I can give you some pointers. If you want to even work on this on your own and just email me what you've got, or we can go over to the start of the next session, that's fine too. We don't have to sit here and work through this. Though, Brandon, in your case, I guess something that we should probably go over is you may not even know what the options are or what kinds of things are out there. So we can talk about some of that. There is one thing I'm going to want from all you guys, which is send me, and I want this before the first game, so before game 0, so before next game, give me about a couple sentences of personality. I don't need a novel, just a couple sentences of personality. Paragraph or two of background, just give me some backstory, and give me, ideally, at least 3, I'll let you get off with 2, but at least 3 plot hooks. So these can be, now the plot hooks can be unanswered questions about your past, like something happened to me that I don't understand. It can be things like, I have a note card in my pocket with a word on it and I don't know what the word means. It can be, I have an uncle that I know escaped the space station and I don't know where he went. It can be, I pissed off somebody after landing on Earth. I don't care what it is. I just need 2 or 3 things that I can use from your character to personalize elements of the plot and to start also looking for consistencies of what's going on with you guys, ways to work in NPCs, things like that.
So a couple sentences of personality, background, and 3 plot hooks.
Yeah, 3 plot hooks.
Is there anything that you want, because we're doing a 0 session, do you want anything from before, from the space station, like an NPC that we would know?
I won't need it. If you give it to me, I will use it, but I won't need it.
Okay.
And this is stuff, The only thing I absolutely the plot hooks, if you want to wait until session 1 as opposed to session 0, we can do that. That's fine. So if you want to, and you're free to refine any of this. I think the only thing I really need to understand at session 0 is why you were locked up, which I think we've already got worked out for everyone. So it's up to you guys. If you want to play the character for a little bit, define the voice, and then give me the personality, that's fine. So I'd say I definitely hard stop need the session 1 before session 1, so I have time to write it. If you bring it to session 0, great. If you don't, that's fine too. So we'll.
But before we do, can I ask for a couple of
Sure.
items? Can I have a working pad of some sort, like a touchpad or whatever, that where I can work out some of my, my technological designs and things like that?
Yes, you will need to certainly power it.
Right.
I'm going to start looking up what the watt hours are on some of these devices to operate.
Remember, too, it's in the future, and there was a resource war. So resources, like, I was thinking about this, like, in St. Louis. You were talking about how, it's really dark on the streets. And I was thinking, well, why? They would have streetlights, and the streetlights would be LEDs. And they would be solar-powered LEDs where the solar panel was on the top, because we have those now. In fact, there's one right behind my house. Now, the batteries are kind of out.
Do you want to know the real answer to that? 1, because they're diverting resources to other things, and 2, because they want to...
control the populace?
Yes, they want to create a sense of hierarchy.
Right.
It's kind of an intentional dick move.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also diverting the resources to other things. Is another one of the big reasons. But
that said, then that means that there is a lot of what we would today call green energy.
Yeah.
But what in Sogverse would be...
Well, I think certainly... I mean, we don't even have to look that far into the future to find things like that. For example, biofuels are going to be a big one. Fuels you can literally grow. Another one that works pretty well, obviously, is solar. There's an article that I emailed to Chad because he and I were talking about some stuff. And I had always mentioned that Casey had these power packs with his arm. I never said what they were. Well, what they were, and I just never came up in the game, is... there's a real technology that's under development today so you have hydrogen fuel cells, which generate an enormous amount of power and produce effectively no remarkable waste.
Well, they store remarkable.
But the danger with them is, of course, the hydrogen itself. You have to produce it, you have to store it. But they found this technology, and I won't pretend to understand it, but I knew what it was, where they have this, like, it's far more sophisticated than this, but it's basically like a sponge that absorbs the hydrogen in and stores it in a way where it's safe, so it's not going to blow up on you, but also holds that hydrogen there and then is capable of releasing it as it's needed to actually go through the fuel cell system and create electricity. Now, how do you generate hydrogen? Well, there's a couple ways to do it. One of the easiest is through a process called electrolysis. All you do with electrolysis is you put an electrical current into water and you separate the hydrogen out of it. And you can do that with solar panels. And so it's a slow process, or can be a slow process, but the idea is that if you can store it in the battery, when you're not using the power, you're borrowing against time. So you slow generate over time and then have the power pack there for bigger spends in shorter periods.
What are we looking for to power since I was upstairs?
Well, something that I'm kind of working off of, just being kind of weird. What if my pad is powered, it's like a bioenergy powered, and I had the surgeon implant some sort of almost like a pacemaker. So my heart is actually emitting through this pacemaker a way to power my pad. And if somebody walks off with my pad, it's not going to have all the information. They won't be able to access it because it's not close enough to the power source.
Like some biosecurity, that kind of...
Yeah, are you looking for biosecurity or biopower?
Well, I mean, we can power it by bicycle or whatever, but just, so that way...
I'm not getting my big booty ass on a bicycle.
So you basically want somebody that's got biometric locks on.
Yes. Done.
Okay.
I don't know if you want it to be your heartbeat. That seems strangely intrusive, but Yeah, I mean, you can if you want your character, but
Yeah, but if he dies, it deletes all his points.
Yes, exactly. Heart stops,
Dead man
porn gone.
switch.
Dead man switch on my porn.
Dead man stroke.
Yeah. It seems like our characters would probably know quite a bit about solar power, just because what is the
it's abundant dissolve, get out in orbit.
exactly? I mean, when you look at all the satellites out there, everything we have now, solar panels galore because there's a lot of sun.
Yeah, and you guys also had probably a somewhat tense relationship with the moon because the moon is producing helium-3, but you guys didn't have anything to trade for it. And they seem to be diverting most of it to Jacksonville. And you don't know what the hell Jacksonville's doing with it.
The moon's making air out of it. Some water.
The other thing that I was wanting is a fake Geiger counter. So then when I push the button, it goes. So I go whoever. Don't go in there.
That's if you want a Geiger counter that has a crank on the back where you can wind it up and it just starts clicking and bounces a needle around.
So we
and
can run some scams.
Yeah, so that's fine. If you want a scam Geiger counter, that's hilarious and totally fine.
Other than blue, I just want armor, a helmet, a hatchet, and a pistol. Because we're going low on the weapons, right? Like Lee had a double barrel shotgun and 12 shotgun shells.
Yeah, I'll probably go low on the ammo counts to balance that out. So any weapons you guys want, I'll just go lower on the ammo counts. Unless it's something that you could very reasonably be making in the field, like
a dead man's gun,
a sling, a dead man's gun, a bow, maybe even bow or crossbow,
So
some kind of pneumatic weapon.
something I was already thinking about, but now goes really well with the fake Geiger counter: a spacesuit.
Okay, better than a condom with a hole in it.
What's that?
Better than a condom with a hole in it. Okay.
I was thinking, it doesn't even have to be a functioning one. At this point, now with the Geiger counter thing, people don't know what a spacesuit looks like anymore. This is something to protect us from the radiation that it's detecting in there.
A spacesuit would actually, it
was
would
a space blanket with duct tape. That's what.
Well, I'll say so spacesuit, even if you take away its actual environmental seals, it is still insulated.
Yeah.
So it's going to protect you from both heat and, assuming the cooling system still works. Well, I'm sorry, cooling system still works apart from heat and cold. Both are problems in space, by the way. It's not just cold; it is also heat. It's going to. It may still have if you can keep the parts in there, it may still have a working general air scrubber. Even if you can't repressurize its tanks.
Do you have a Kevlar helmet?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that if you had a spacesuit, it wouldn't be some big honking thing, since it's the future. It'd probably a thinner, much thinner suit.
That's what I'm assuming is, and it may even have some low-level radiation protection. I mean, don't take this thing, swimming through the glowing seas.
I love the idea of having it because of where we're from, and now I like the idea of having it in conjunction with the fake Geiger counter to be one of the scams that we work on together.
We're the only ones qualified to go in there.
The Brothers Grimm of the apocalypse.
Okay.
I love it.
So, Brandon, the things that you want to think about with equipment is where you're from, what you've done along the way. So some of this may be personal stuff that doesn't per se have an immediate game purpose, but just has a role-playing purpose or whatever. But then also thinks about the things that you're going to need to be able to do your job. Right. Okay, so for example, you're probably going to want rolls of clean linen.
Right.
You're probably...
Like a doctor bag.
Precisely, a medical kit. You're probably going to want a needle. You're going to want thread of some kind. You're probably going to want, alcohol or hydrogen peroxide or something like that. So there's going to be things like that. In terms of weapons, this could be something that you brought with you from the space station. And if that's the case, it could be high-tech. And
No, it can't. Because you said none of our equipment can be from the station at this point.
No, I just said
You said the Zero game that can't.
the Zero game you won't have.
Oh, I got you.
So you could have, it could be, it could also be in something that's a low-tech thing with a high-tech build. So, for example, like a carbide knife. It's just a knife, but...
Don't forget pocket ham.
Pocket hit first thing.
Could be things like lengths of rope, nails, bits of silver or gold. In terms of body armor, you can have anything from thick cloth, boiled leather, what we call scrap armor, which is, think of, you basically took the belting out of a tire and a stop sign. And
So I am actually... It has never made sense for me to have... For any of my characters to ever have scrap armor until now. For the fact that I've never actually even seen it used in game, that's something I wrote down is I want to have put together a scrap armor set.
your enemies have had scrap armor all the freaking time.
But none of our player characters ever had. So I have a character that could actually put it together and it actually makes sense for the first time out of any of my characters to have it. So I plan on doing a scrap armor.
Above that, there is actual metal armors, but this is more we're talking about things that were machined with the intention of being armor. Right. Above that, we start getting into Kevlar with trauma plates. Then you get things like the hardened combat armors. Think technologies we're only toying with now in the modern day. And then way beyond that's the stuff that would not have even been on that space station, the hardcore military grade stuff that I don't think your character probably never even saw.
What if
weapons? There's all kinds of stuff.
How much armor would a spacesuit even like in this day?
I would probably count a spacesuit along the lines of like a leather armor.
Okay. So what if I fashioned it into just something I wear every day, like pieces of it? It's not like the whole suit. It's literally like chest, and maybe I have like the gloves still left over to protect my hands from something.
But that's fine, and if you added a little bit to it, so if you took the chest and you put a few more layers on it, you could even get it up to a scrap armor.
Right.
So,
and that's what I was thinking, like scrap armor chest, and then like I'd still have my like a white coat over it because I'd probably still have that from however we get here, maybe.
All right. What's the armor level on a scrap armor?
Scrap is -4.
All right, and a welding helmet.
A welding helmet. I will count that as an actual fashion metal armor. That is a -6. Because that stuff is thick and tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the idea. He has...
So for scrap armor, your armor, note the location. So like if it's on your torso, so if you said you had on your torso scrap armor, it's going to be a -4. You said you had the spacesuit gloves for your hands, that's going to be a -2. You can tell me if you got any kind of a helmet.
Okay.
So if you want to have, hell, even a crash helmet that you took with you off of the life pod that got you down here, that's something.
Okay.
So
you said the scrap armor was -4?
-4, yes.
Okay, so my chest definitely going to be -4.
Sorry, Wayne, I know I kind of cut you off.
Weapons. Brass knuckles?
You know what? I'm going to count those as a club.
Okay.
So it is 1d6 plus 1/2 your strength.
6 plus 1/2. Half body.
Oh, yeah, your body. I'm sorry.
Can I have a motorcycle?
It's going to be questionable repair, but
Sure.
yes.
I've got mechanics.
It ain't pretty.
Yeah, it's going to be in very questionable repair, but yes.
A wrench would be the same as a club, I'm assuming, then?
Yeah.
Can I have it be in really good repair if I start the game with an injury?
What injury?
Healing broken leg. Like not game 1. But it's all in a cast and shit. You take a step, snap. Fuck.
I'm not going to do broken leg because I think that would...
Because my story would be I kicked it and then the crank broke my leg.
It'd keep you out of too many situations and the group would have to keep slowing down because of you. I would allow something like...
Cracked rib?
Well, cracked rib or broken arm I would allow.
Yeah, sure.
So... Yeah, okay.
Cracked rib?
Well, yeah, we'll go with a cracked rib. I'll give you the details later.
Sure.
So just put under injury, put broken rib. And like I said, I'll give you the details later.
And I have a fine, what would be the fine touring, mastercrafted touring bike. It has +2 damage.
And what do you want this to be? Are we talking like Roadhog? Are we talking like Rice Rocket? Are we talking like Moped? Are we talking like...
like not a Roadhog, but it's not a rice rocket either. It's just like a Honda motorcycle type
Okay.
Kawasaki. You know, when you sit in like this, but I can put like saddlebag type stuff on it. I can pull up a picture.
It's actually, I already think I know exactly what.
Like a Rebel or a Nighthawk or one of, like,
Yeah.
Cause it's something you don't want to. You said sitting back, so you don't want a sports bike,
Right. It's not.
but you're not looking for a big cruiser either.
Yeah.
so
It's not a big chopper.
I think a Rebel would be perfect, and those would be easier to keep in repair because there's
Right.
so many of them.
Yeah.
So it'd be more likely to find one still functioning.
And it's not like a motocross dirt bike either.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Okay. So that's fine.
And I'm a pretty big guy, so I couldn't have a little tiny thing.
It's blowing sparks as you on grass.
Right. The tires have popped.
Okay. So, I would strongly recommend giving yourself a helmet if you.
I did. I assumed I fashioned one or something.
Perfect.
Just like what would the armor of a spacesuit be? You said leather.
Yeah, leather. So unless you add anything to it, it's a -2.
No, that's not having anything added. That's just in case it ever comes up while we're in the middle of a scam.
Well, it will at least make it a lot less likely that a non-critical hit from a pistol will kill you.
Dan, do you know what a breaching tool is? It's like firemen use it, it's ostensibly a crowbar, but it's a little bit more than that. It's
a badass crowbar.
Yeah, it's like the badass Mole Ninja crowbar. It's for breaching into doors.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
You can also use it as a club, obviously.
Yeah, I put it under weapons.
Can I have a titanium nut cut?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
But no nuts under them.
Yes, no nuts under them.
But it's a size too small.
You
So it just covers my junk.
call it the crusher.
No, your junk oozes out the sides.
It's like putting a Dixie cup on too much Play-Doh. Okay, I don't think we need to torture the listeners with us going through nut cups and or the details of equipment.
Yes.
Does anyone have their character's name yet?
It's actually 6. I'm actually up what that is beyond a club.
They're pretty good. They're designed
yeah, I
for
think
crack
I'm
open
going to
doors.
up that up. That to me looks like a little more than a club. So go ahead and have that thing do 3d6 damage.
Okay.
Because that's big, that's heavy, and that's got something that could conceivably be sharpened on it.
3d6, you said?
Yes.
Could I have a working stun gun?
What do you mean by stun? What exactly do you mean by
You know, a handheld like a woman would keep in her purse, something that's concealable that you would have to actually touch, not like.
Okay, so by
taser.
stun gun, you don't mean like, okay,
Like
so you
a
don't mean a
taser.
projectile taser.
No.
You mean just like, okay,
Yeah,
yeah, that's fine. I'm going to figure out the rules on how I want to handle that, because it's
I use it for my automated rocket.
going to have a weird way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Through my titanium cup.
It's how you wake up in the morning. There's no coffee. You gotta do something.
Time to get up.
The best part of waking up is stun gun on my nuts.
So does anyone have character names?
No.
No. Okay. Hardest part of
He
the
has a. I'm debating on the first name. The first name doesn't matter. It's just Boone. Just goes by Boone.
Oh, this. I'm sorry. We forgot to do the group sheet. That is the last thing we need to do. And then we can...
Who gets to drive the truck?
I
I got a motorcycle, so
who do you trust to drive the truck?
blue.
That's there you go.
That's right.
If you take an orangutan, I might actually allow you to have it drive the truck.
I could be an arm wrestler. That'd be great.
Oh my god.
Philo Beto, yeah.
That's right.
Okay, Wayne, here we go. From the top. First, we're going to...
Okay, so we're doing for the listeners, we're actually doing the group.
Yeah, so now we're doing the group resources.
So this is basically
All right.
the job, the work we do.
So let me explain this to anyone who's tuning for the first time and also for Brandon's sake. So Brandon, there's a group worksheet that basically determines 4 attributes of the group as an organization. Now, this does not represent any individual. It represents all of you as a whole, plus any additional resources you have. Circumstances of the plot can cause this to improve or have problems or to get worse. And also, there are times where you guys can draw against it. So you can say, wow, we've got a serious problem. We need to call in a huge favor to get out of this. But doing that's going to mean spending some money, burning some bridges, and you kind of screw your group as a whole. And what that means is when it comes time to cash out, to see how well your group is doing, how much did you get from that house that you just raided or whatever, that you're going to have, the overall success is going to be affected by what you've done in terms of nurturing or hurting the various traits of your group. Okay. So ace counts as 1, 10 counts as 10. This is a simple number system. Higher is better. So we're going to start off.
Letting Wayne do this?
What? I figured we would all draw a card.
Well, there's
4 of us.
Well, and on top of that, you don't draw because to make sure that we only draw on one suit. So there's 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4.
Can you shuffle those again? Because the 2 is on top.
So okay. So whatever you draw, you won't draw that number twice. So you could theoretically draw 1 through 4, which would impress me. But you're not going to get 4 ones. It can't happen. So now once we have those drawn, we will then replace them. All right. So there's 4 of you guys. That's fine. We can do 1 on each. So the first one is opportunity. Opportunity represents the number of things that you guys have out in the world that are actionable. Okay, so for you guys, this is probably going to be things like leads that you're in possession of. Those data banks that you got slowly decrypting that have military information on them or something like that. How many workable leads do you have? How many contacts do you have in the area? So that's what this represents, is the things that you can draw on to basically say, okay, we need some place to go, something to do. If we were to put this in terms of a farm, this might be workable land. All right, so here we go. So opportunity, who wants to draw the opportunity?
I'll do it. Oh, Brandon will do it.
Okay, so Brandon, opportunity will start at a 9.
Wow.
So you guys have got a damn good lead or a lot of good leads on. You guys either have one just king of one, just take all lead.
I like the idea of we have a database of something. It's not. Yeah. It's a little corrupt. It's not quite fully there, but it's on his tablet.
It's like a treasure map that has parts of it missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, well, I wonder if maybe this is something like it's not military, but it was from one of the more industrial branches of the government that was tracking things like
it's not
industry.
It's not a
like
map.
That.
It's like a list of shipping manifests.
Yeah,
and it's not the final destinations, but we're figuring out. Basically, we're extrapolating some data to find clues.
I got it. You guys got a hold of you guys found your way into a branch office, and you have tax records.
And so we have to figure it out.
You have to figure out how to read the forms and how people might be hiding resources and what the listed resources
mean. That because I didn't want it to be military because I don't want it to be we're raiding this place and finding laser guns.
Yeah.
So you have okay. So when under opportunity you have tax records that you have to work through, and
tax records.
Do you also want to have anything like contacts that help you with leads, people that know the area?
Can we choose to take something at a really low level? Because, I mean, from an in-character standpoint, no, we don't have a lot of contacts.
Well, that's fine. That just means your tax records are even better. The more things you pick, the lower I'm going to think of each of them. So
okay. I do really like the idea of having something we brought down with us that is some sort of database that needs to be decrypted, but I like the idea of that plus the tax records. Tax records are things where we're finding where people may hide stuff. This is our big cache. If we can decrypt where this is,
what about telemetry from both your own station and others? So you would know where they were picking up or dumping off pods and lifeboats. You would know where satellites are or where they might be.
I like that a lot.
So a telemetry, but this one's encrypted. So you have an encrypted telemetry database. You captured the data, but you can't read it yet. Okay, we can come back to this too, so we don't have to fully define it now. I said the more things you spread it across, the less I will think of each. So we'll come back to that. All right. In fact, I could theoretically, something we could even do if we wanted to just put a point value with each of them. So of the 9, 7's represented by this, 2's represented by that, or I don't know. We can think about that.
All right, what is...
All right.
So the next card is people. What is people?
So what people is people represents the overall health and access to the health can be loyalty, can be access to individuals. Now, you say, what if there's no NPCs with us? Well, people could also represent you guys at a macro level. I'll make you a better description here of people, because this one's going to be a little bit weird. So you might have an NPC or two with you, and it might represent that. Or this also might represent... Okay, so this represents your overall access to manpower. So this could be the people you have with you, the people that owe you favors. This could even be the general health and wellness and readiness of just your group. So that's what people means. So you can decide how you want to define it, but here we go.
I'll do this one then.
Wayne's going to draw people. Okay.
Right. Is it bad that I'm kind of low on this one? 6?
Oh, a 6. Okay, so you guys are...
Well, it might be 1 or 2 really good people.
Yeah, so that's also possible too. The 6 could mean you have some access to a fair number of people, or it could mean that you've got 1 or 2 people that are just, for a fact, these are good people, good at what they do, you can count on them, whatever, and you can figure that out now, you can define that later. Or once again, we can also just use this to represent the general state of you guys as a group of individuals.
I honestly have no thoughts around people.
Couldn't that represent people that maybe we recruit?
We could also define it after the session 0.
That's what I was about to say, because maybe we take NPCs with us in session 0, and we decide we want them to be our people.
Okay, that's possible. It could be people that you pick up from the station. It could also be if you guys decide to start founding that enclave. This could be the people that are currently inhabiting it. So that could be that. All right. Resources. This one's pretty straightforward. This represents just the amount of stuff that you have at a shared group level. So literally your material possessions that are not on the character sheets. This is the state of the truck. This is the state of the caches you found, what you've got on hand. Both its
shuffle them, I can see them.
Its quantity and quality. Five. Okay, so pretty average. All right. We can come back and define that in a bit. What is it? Certainly the truck is one of the resources. Yeah. That's a given.
I'll go ahead and write that down.
So the truck is a resource. At a 5, it's already in kind of mediocre shape. Not bad, but it's working. And we can go back later and figure out what else you got. I'm sure probably a general salvage kit's going to be part of it. It's going to include things like some kind of light source, ropes, pulleys, things like
Makes
that. Maybe the truck has a winch. I know you guys have talked about solar panels.
It used to have a breaching tool, but he won't let anyone use it now.
All right, so the last
Especially
one,
after he beat that hobo
then,
to death with it.
Okay, so the last one then is
Carries the
image.
soul of the hobo.
Image
Get that
represents.
fusion core then.
That's true.
Image represents the morale of any NPCs you have, and or end up with, and or have contact with, and also your general reputation with the people that you encounter, the people that you have encountered in the past. So image represents how loyal people are to you, what people generally think of you. So this is now going to be...
Come on, Eric, pull a 2.
Yeah. 4.
Okay, so below average, but not terrible. So, I mean, you're scavengers, you come and go. No, but you're kind of an unknown quantity. You're certainly weird.
Plus, we'd be probably pretty clean at the start.
At the start, yeah.
At least 2 of us have something for a challenge that makes us not sociable.
Okay, so now we'll do is we'll actually replace those with the correct face file, or the correct face type. So like the 4 is going to be a 4 of hearts. But I think that covers all we need to take care of for this.
And we can't rearrange those?
No.
Okay.
Actually, did I let you rearrange those in the past?
I thought you let us do like a switch.
Oh yeah, you know what? I tell you what, I don't remember. And since
that way we can kind of gear it towards.
Well, let me ask you this, because the if you draw them straight, it kind of creates more you're a victim of circumstance. If you rearrange them, it lets you define your story a little more.
I like defining our story.
You want to define your story
within the framework of what we drew.
What you drew, okay.
I would say, for me, based on what we've done, I would want to change the 6 and the 4 around. That our people is low, but our image... Well, it depends on what we think of image.
I would put image at 5, because it's average. Because we're neither good nor bad nor whatever.
If your image is high, and what I would take that to mean is the contracts you've taken, you've delivered on, your people generally see you as trustworthy. You're not a hugely known quantity, but...
I was thinking more along the lines of the image is high in that we're the type of people you don't want to mess with.
I would say, though, that our people and our resources are low. Like, we have the truck, so keep that at a 5 or a 6. People is at a 4. Actually, I would say, if I had my druthers, I'd keep the opportunities high.
Yeah.
Keep the people at 4. Keep the resources at 6, and the image at 5. Because we're dead average, neither good nor bad. Our resources are slightly above average because we have this damn truck thing,
which not a lot of people have a working vehicle,
and
that is a pretty big resource.
So Chad is suggesting 6, 5, and then 4 people like that.
Yeah, because we just don't have people. We don't have the safety valve.
Yeah, I was saying 4 for people as well. Mm-hmm. I agree with you on 6 for resources, because the truck is a huge resource. People don't have vehicles like this.
Yeah, but it's also falling apart.
Yeah.
And the image is 5. We're neither good nor bad. We don't have a negative opinion, but we don't have a positive opinion.
If it's a 5, though, it doesn't mean what little image you have is positive.
Hey, we pull up in a big old truck.
Well, I think more than...
Hello, ladies.
Yeah.
More than pull up in a big old truck. It's like I do. What things you have done thus far? You've done honest trades. You haven't, gutted anyone in the street. I mean, You've not done anything to harm your reputation yet. I mean, yeah, I'm sure that will happen within a game. But let's see. So 6 is that. Clubs is going to be a 4. So 4 clubs. Okay, so there's your actual... I think this is easier to read. I should flip. So it's black, red instead of black, red. So, all right. So I'll let you guys define that. I think we're going to go ahead and end the recording here. So thank you guys for tuning in. Catch us next time. We will be doing session 0. Character sheets will be basically completed, and we will be doing a pre-game plot that takes place back on the space station prior to their evac to Earth. And then we will skip forward a certain amount of time to game 1, and we will catch you guys in 2 weeks.